Welcome in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant, so let's get right to it. The Senate agreeing overnight, technically early this morning, to fund the Department of Homeland Security, but without funding for immigration enforcement and deportation operations. So again, this has caused a lot of concerns, a lot of questions, and a lot of long lines in airports across the country. Our Julie Kay is at Charlotte Douglas. There, security checkpoint 1. Give us an update on everything, Julie. Break it down for us. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Nick, obviously there's two aspects to this, the TSA aspect and then, of course, the ICE aspect. I'll start with TSA because we hear, of course, as soon as the live shot comes out, the line is looking pretty good. But when we first got here around 12 o'clock, it was backed up about 30 minutes or so. I spoke with some passengers who said they got here 4 or 5 hours early just to be absolutely sure. Now, everyone knows that Charlotte has not seen as big of impacts as some of the other airports when we think of Houston, Atlanta, some of the other big airports that have been impacted with these really hours long lines. We're not seeing that here at this point in the day, but of course we're in the middle of the day. Things could get worse as we get closer to after work flights like that. That being said, everyone I spoke with says they just want to see TSA funded in whatever capacity and however the government can agree to do that. That's why the Senate bill is interesting, because it would fund TSA if the House passes it, but it does not have extra funding for ICE. Remember, they're both under the Department of Homeland Security. ICE is the only aspect of that would not be funded in this bill. Now, there are other things that could keep ICE going with their operations, so it's not that they'd be fully unfunded. What I do want to say, though, is the Senate bill that was passed, interestingly enough, does not have some of the restrictions that Democrats wanted to see. For example, removal of masks of ICE agents, the anonymity of ICE agents, they wanted to see that go away. Also requiring judges to sign warrants before they're able to enter people's homes or private property. None of that is in this bill, so it's both a win and a loss for Democrats in the Senate. Now, at the same time, the House still needs to pass that bill for it to actually go through. The House was supposed to start a 2-week recess today, which would push back even further TSA funding and, of course, make those lines last even longer. sounds like the House is working on it, but even with some of the rules, the fine print of those rules of the House, we aren't sure if it's even possible for them to pass that bill today. So it's going to be really interesting to see as the day goes on. This could be changing really at any moment. So we'll keep you updated. We're going to be back at 4 and 5:15 with those updates. Hopefully some more headway made on the House's side, because that's what everyone I've spoken to here really wants to see, is just make sure that TSA gets funded and these lines stay clear like this.
All right, Julie Kay there giving us an update. A lot of eyes on what happens there on Capitol Hill, and I'm looking at a shot of George Bush Airport there in Houston. Lines along there, lines along throughout the country. Julie, thank you for those updates. We'll continue to check back with you. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So earlier we heard from officials with South Carolina Department of Transportation, also officials with South Carolina Department of Public Safety, doing a joint press conference announcing new safety initiatives for folks out there on the roadways. Let's take a listen in case you missed it.
Put Andy up there. Hey, good morning. I want to thank everybody for coming today on this beautiful Friday in the state of South Carolina. I'm Rob Perry. I'm the Deputy Secretary for Engineering for South Carolina Department of Transportation, and I'm really excited to introduce our speakers this morning. I want to thank our partnership with the Department of Public Safety. We have a long, rich history working together to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes in the state of South Carolina. And I also want to thank our maintenance workers here and our SHEP responders that are here. Again, this is a momentous day, and I know Director Woods and Secretary Powell are going to go over that. In my former life, I was Director of Traffic Engineering, and I learned that changing statistics, reducing fatal and serious injury crashes is not something that happens overnight. It's a long game. You got to work at it. It's like chopping wood. You got to get up every morning and try and push at it and make safety the most important thing that you do. I can tell you, when I was Director of Traffic Engineering, every Monday morning I sent out the DPS statistics so that our staff knew that reducing crashes, reducing fatalities was the most important thing they needed to do that day, that week, that year. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Director Woods. He's not only somebody I look up to as Director of DPS, but he's a friend and a colleague. And then following him, Secretary of Transportation Justin Powell will be speaking. So thank you.
Thank you, Rob, and good morning. I'm Rob Woods, Director of the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. I want to thank Secretary Powell and the Department of Transportation, not just for the opportunity to speak here this morning, but for their continued partnership as we seek new and innovative ways to reduce collisions and fatalities in South Carolina. I also want to acknowledge the many law enforcement leaders and agencies who are standing in solidarity in this mission of saving lives on our roadways. Thank you for being here. If you ask any one of our troopers, they will probably tell you that the worst part of their job is having to go to someone's home and tell them that a loved one had just been killed in a traffic collision. That happened 1,198 times in 2021, making it the deadliest year on South Carolina's roadways in history and surpassing the previous record that was set in 1972. As traffic deaths increased, the Department of Public Safety began exploring ways in which our troopers and officers could not only be more strategic in their enforcement efforts, but also more proactive. Since then, we have partnered with the Department of Transportation on several initiatives that collectively have helped us work towards reducing traffic fatalities in South Carolina to their lowest numbers in more than 10 years. This change did not happen overnight. And we acknowledge that even one life lost on the roadways is one too many. But such a dramatic decrease in roadway fatalities means there has been an equally dramatic increase in people getting to their destination safely, and that is something to be celebrated. This means more lives are being lived, more family get-togethers happening, and more memories are being made. One of the most crucial tools the Department of Public Safety has relied on has been partnerships, which allows us to share information and combine our efforts to improve roadway safety collectively. Each year we receive data from our state and local partners to compile, develop, and produce the South Carolina Traffic Collision Fact Book. This publication allows us to gauge where collisions are happening, what kinds of collisions are happening, when they are happening, and the causes or contributing factors of those collisions, which helps us shape and guide our enforcement efforts to ensure we have the most impact. We took a huge step towards data-driven enforcement in 2021 when we announced our area coordinated enforcement teams. These targeted teams have a sole focus on fatality reduction, and they use collision and citation data along with data from SCDOT to direct their enforcement at locations and times of day we are seeing the most collisions and dangerous driving habits take place. We believe we are seeing success in saving lives because we are using this data to direct troopers and officers to where they are most needed and where they can be most effective. As speed and aggressive driving continue to be leading causes of fatalities in South Carolina, we rolled out equipment upgrades that enable our troopers to better detect and apprehend these dangerous behaviors before a collision occurs. In July of 2021, specialty vehicles were added to the Highway Patrol fleet, including new colors and racing stripes on unmarked Dodge Chargers. More recently, in January, we released 18 new unmarked and marked Mustangs into our fleet with the intention of adding more marked Mustangs next year. Additionally, we partnered with DOT last year to develop and deploy mobile speed trailers where blue lights are activated when motorist speed is detected above the speed limit set in a construction or work area. Earlier this year, our two departments unveiled the virtual weigh station, the first in the nation that allows our state transport police to identify overweight commercial motor vehicles through sensors in the highway. This notice is then sent to an SDP officer nearby who initiates a traffic stop and completes a thorough inspection before enforcement citations are issued. This is the definition of working smarter, not harder. And this project is the culmination of years-long collaboration between DOT, the State Transport Police, and our Department of Office of Information Technology. But reducing traffic fatalities involves much more than the Highway Patrol, the State Transport Police, or even DPS and DOT. We rely on partnerships with our local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies and prosecutors from each region of the state, all focusing specifically on highway safety.
I think
Our South Carolina law enforcement network is stronger than ever, and many of those partners are standing with us in support today. During the Law Enforcement Network Challenge from December 2024 until Labor Day 2025, we had 181 agencies participate. We are proud the participation in the Law Enforcement Network continues to grow, and we know that consolidated efforts with a shared mission equals real results. Enforcement is only one piece of our mission at SCDPS. The other is education. And our partnerships extend our efforts to educate the public and make them aware not just of traffic laws, but the various risks of choosing to violate the law. You saw that with the revival of our groundbreaking Highways or Dieways campaigns in December of 2023, which reminds the motoring public that law enforcement cannot do this alone. We need the public to make safe choices on the roads. And more recently, you saw it with the Hands-Free South Carolina campaign, which announced the state's new Hands-Free and Distracted Driving Act and encouraged drivers to put away distractions when behind the wheel. Before the law even took effect, the multifaceted public information campaign was underway, during which we received help from the Department of Transportation, the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, in sharing our messaging about the new law on electronic marquees in DMV branch offices and in our state's welcome centers. While this progress in recent years is encouraging, we know it didn't happen by accident. It's a result of consistent efforts, targeted strategies, and strong partnerships, including work led by SCDOT. And with that, I'll turn the podium over to Secretary Powell to share his perspectives.
Thank you, Director Woods. Good morning. My name is Justin Powell, and I serve as the Secretary of Transportation for SCDOT. Director Woods and the entire Department of Public Safety team, as well as all the other law enforcement partners here, have been critical to the progress that we have seen today. From enforcement to education, this partnership reflects a shared commitment to saving lives on South Carolina's roads. This work only succeeds because of strong collaboration, and we're proud to stand together in delivering real results for the people of South Carolina. As Director Woods noted, while railway fatalities are down, even one life lost is too many. These aren't just statistics. Every number represents a person lost, a family that's grieving, and a community that's changed. We aren't here to celebrate. We're here to show you just how committed we are in making sure that every person traveling on South Carolina's roads gets to where they need to go safely. In 2017, South Carolina had the highest traffic fatality rate in the country, with nearly 60% of those crashes happening on our rural roadways. As a result, one of our top priorities at SCDOT has been improving the outcomes on our rural roads. Since launching our Rural Road Safety Program and investing in proven, data-driven improvements, we have been making real progress. South Carolina has moved from the highest fatality rate in the country to the third. And while we know that's not where we want to be, it is a step in the right direction. And more importantly, we're seeing real results on those roads where we've made improvements. On the rural roads that have received safety upgrades, fatal and serious injury crashes are down by 30%. And even more significant, railway departure crashes, the most dangerous type of crash, are down 54% on those same roads. These numbers reflect real lives saved, and they show a difference that targeted, data-driven solutions are making a difference. So what do these solutions look like?
All right, so that is a press conference earlier from SCDOT and SCDPS announcing safety initiatives. We want to go now live here. President Donald Trump is speaking outside of the White House. Let's take a listen in to what he is saying.
98% of America's farmers and ranchers, and thanks to bonus depreciation, farmers can now deduct 100% of the cost of new tractors and all equipment in the first year. In other words, you buy a tractor, you deduct the whole price. Normally it goes over a 38-year period. This is slightly better. You got these tiny little deductions that weren't even worth it. Now you can do it at one time. Only Trump could have gotten you that one. That was a big thing. And in the first term, you know, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country in the first term. We are blowing them away right now. And by the way, we're doing really well in Iran, just so you understand. You know, I mean, how good is our military? How good is our military? Very importantly, we saved 2 million American farms from extinction by virtually ending the unfair estate tax. We've ended the estate tax, or as they call it, the death tax, and you can now keep your family farms in the family. We had a problem. See, these are all people that are clapping that love their children. If they didn't love their children, they wouldn't care about what I just said. But most of you, does anybody not love your child? Because that would be the one person that would have clapped the other way. No, it's a big thing. I would see farmers, and they pass away. They love their life. They love this. There's something about a farmer, maybe more than anybody else. They love that. They love the soil, and they love their farms. And they'd pass away, and they'd have wonderful children, and the children would get hit with this massive tax bill for the value of the farm. Sometimes the farm is very valuable, but the cash isn't so readily available. And they'd go out to a bank and they'd borrow money, and they'd borrow and borrow and borrow to pay the tax. They'd be working for 20 years to pay it off. If they had a bad season, they'd lose their farm. We lost it many, many times. And you'd have actually many, many suicides over it. They would actually commit suicide because they couldn't stand the concept of losing their family farm. And I ended the death tax, or the estate tax, on family farms and small businesses. So I think you're appreciative of that. It was a terrible thing. It's too bad that so many people in the past couldn't have taken advantage of it, because it would have made a lot of happy people out of people that really have had a miserable life. When they lose their farm, they're never the same. They're never the same. And I hope our farmers never forget that every single Democrat in Congress voted against all of the provisions I just mentioned, including the estate tax. And Republicans, all of these Republicans have stood strong and fought hard and gotten it. But the Democrats voted against every single provision that I just mentioned, including the tax reductions and including, frankly, the estate tax. But we delivered. The Republicans delivered for the farmers, and it was not easy because the opposition to farmers by Democrats is very strong. Thanks to our trade deals, you're now sending over $40 billion in American soybeans to China. I want to thank President Xi of China, because we had a deal at 20, and I said, could you do me a favor? It's a big place. Could you double it? And he said, what are you talking about? I said, could you make it 40 instead of 20? And he overrode all of his people. He said, all right, I'll do it. And you got 40 instead of 20. So now you go out and buy bigger tractors. What can I tell you? Remember when that was announced, everybody was surprised. Everybody thought it was going to be 20. He was very good. But the American soybeans are now being shipped to China in record amounts, and we expanded markets for American beef, dairy products, biofuels across Asia, Europe, South America, like we've never had before. Our farmers and agricultural producers do not want handouts. They really don't. The farmers come to my office a lot, and they just, sir, please just give us a level playing field. Others want more than that. They want everything. The farmers want a level playing field, and I talk about it all the time. That's all they want, because you were just the first last 4 years, 4 years before this one, before our great first year, we had records in so many categories. But during the past administration, you were treated really badly, and you were treated badly by the world because you had nobody that cared about defending you. But you want that fair shot and a level playing field, and I'm giving that to you, and I think I'm actually giving you much better than a level playing field. I'm giving you a field that goes like this. Makes it a lot easier for you, the things that we've done. And to further help farmers recovering from the Biden catastrophe, we use money taken from tariffs. The tariffs, we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars from the tariffs. And as I said, we gave you $12 billion in farm relief. And that happened just recently because you were hurt by certain countries unfairly. And I said you were unfairly hurt, and we gave you $12 billion, and that made up for it. I'm also asking Congress to quickly pass the new farm bill, and today I'm promising to request additional farm relief for our great patriots in the next funding bill. So we have you taken care of in both instances, and we're pushing very hard for the new farm bill. The Democrats fight us. I don't know what's, the Democrats fight us on farm bills, and they always have. They are not your natural politician. Any farmer that votes for a Democrat is crazy. They are brutal on the farmers. One of the Americans benefiting from our policies and new market access is Joel Vyrek, a fourth-generation farmer from Woolwich Township, New Jersey. Joel, he really has a great story to tell. Please, Joel, come up and tell that story.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to speak today and for having this event and inviting us all here. Yeah, I'm a vegetable farmer from Woolwich Township, New Jersey. We farm a few hundred acres where we specialize in Jersey fresh tomatoes. I do that along with my family. Also, I guess most importantly today, as you spoke about the Farm Bill, I just urge Congress to pass the Farm Bill. It's vital to everything that we do. Everything from financing to crop insurance, and it's vital to the USDA and the farm credit system. Also, we appreciate the bridge payments, your policy on trade, everything. It's going to help strengthen what we do. So I just want to thank you again for just everything you're doing to make America great again.
You know, while I'm up here, I'm looking around. I love construction. You see all those nice Caterpillars and John Deeres. We have a lot of John Deeres. That's a big dig. And we're building a ballroom for 150 years.
All right, so that is President Trump right there outside of the White House. That's live. He's speaking to farmers there. Let's come back out here in studio, man. We got some special guests here in studio. We're talking about opening day. We'll get to them, but let's take a break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. As promised, I said we got some special guests in here, but let's start from the beginning. MLB opening day was yesterday. We had a great game on. Campbell was there. He's producing the show. You don't have to say anything, Campbell. We had the Pirates and the Mets on WCNC Charlotte yesterday. A great slate of games coming up this weekend, today and this weekend. But more importantly, here locally, opening day. Saturday is opening day for Carolina's Metro Reds, local dignitaries, community leaders, Metro Reds players, coaches, all on hand for the special day at the Stick. It's going to be a beautiful day. I can't wait. Here in studio, man, we got the usual suspects. We got a couple of the usual suspects here. We got Tommy Viola, Naho Foundation, Morris Madden, Carolina Metro Reds, Emmett Robinson, also Mo Hill. Man, we got a bunch of legends here, man. Can I get your autograph before all of y'all autographs before y'all leave today? Is that cool?
That's cool.
How are y'all feeling, man? We are right there opening day, man. How is the feeling right now?
Well, we're excited. We're excited to get things going. It's opening day, man. You know, the grass has been cut. Well, we don't have grass anymore. Turf out there. But, you know, the kids are excited. It's going to be a good time. And, you know, my guys are going to be there with us. And I'm going to have some alumni from Carolina's Metro Reds that graduated like 2011, 2012, some of the older guys. They're coming back, and they're bringing children with them that are now members of the Carolinas Metro Reds. So we're excited about the whole thing.
But what's the preparation like for opening day, man? What are you telling the kids? Y'all, you know, Mo, Emmett, y'all coaches, man. What are y'all? How y'all getting the players ready?
Well, we just try to, you know, we work on them. Well, we work just about every weekend, and we try to work on the weak points. We don't change anything about them. We take what they have and try to make it better. And the main thing is trying to get the kids to trust us and the parents to trust us. Because sometimes they don't trust us because they'll do some things on the side. But we know when they do because we notice it when they come back. We always get together and talk about it.
Even with y'all, I mean, with the professional experience, playing ball at some of the highest levels, that's still a factor?
It is.
Oh, man. What's the best part about working with the players, with the young people?
Well, the best thing for me is them having fun playing this game. I know it's a game of a business at the higher level, but if you don't love it and have fun with it, there's no need to be out in the field doing it.
Yeah. Well, opening day, I know it's opening day. It coincides with Major League Baseball's opening day. But do y'all get those goosebumps? Like I always hear from like football players when August, September rolls around, they have some sort of goosebumps and they feel like they're mentally starting to lock into, even though they're not even playing anymore. Do y'all still get that feeling?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Always look forward to it.
What is that like as a guy? I play Little League Baseball, and so I didn't get to the highest levels of baseball. But what is that feeling like, man, around this time of year?
Well, one of the things is that you start thinking about some of the guys that you played with. And I'm fortunate enough to have some of the guys that I played with or against. And we can reminisce about some of the things that we've done. Hours upon hours of conversation about baseball and how it has impacted our lives and what we've done in the past. And, you know, like this guy right here, he's got over 40-something years of professional baseball on his belt. And we know a lot of guys. I know, he knows, and Emmett knows. And we just talk and have fun. It's very exciting to know that we're making an impact on these kids, and maybe someday they can have these type conversations as well.
Man, how do those kids keep up with y'all? I'm not going to ask how y'all keep up with the kids, but how do they keep up with y'all?
Well, you and
Really, as coaches, we love to have fun. Kids think we're crazy. we always joking with each other, trying to joke with them, loosen them up, let them understand, hey, you don't have to be all tight to play this ball game. Relax. And like I said, our coaches, we joke with each other all day long.
I know when I first came over to CMR, here in Bobby Falls. I walked in there and they were going at it. I said, oh my God, what have I got myself? I was going to separate a fight by, not instead of separating a fight between the kids, I thought I was going to separate a fight between the kids. Oh, I stood back, and they looked at me and they started laughing. Man, we do this all the time. So, yeah, so let me know. I didn't know shit. They laughed about it. We were talking about it a couple days ago. We stayed in, we had some kids there and we kept a couple kids over and had extra. And we sit there and we talked about it, we still laugh about it. And he was talking about having fun with the kids. I saw something Sunday when we finished up. We had, what, about 10 kids out there? Yeah. And they're out there around the pitches now. We were always talking about kids, have fun, talk, get to know the guys next to you. And some of those kids, they go a whole summer and don't know the kid that they're next to. Get to know them. These kids out there laughing and talking. Me and Emmett, that's Emmett. What do you see on the field? He looked out there and said, I don't believe this. And they were laughing and talking. And that's what you got to get, not just from the coaches, from right on down through the T-ballers. You know, you got to have fun.
I feel like as kids, you know, especially with sports, you get so locked in with competition, right? Being the best at position that you don't even think about. Man, I'm over here having a good time. I'm over here trying to make friends. Is that one of the things that you guys try to give them perspective on?
Well, it's very competitive. When we're talking about younger kids, everybody wants to be a shortstop or a pitcher. But we have to remind them that, we all have shortstops. We all have pitchers. Everybody plays that position. So we're going to find out who's the best, and you probably need to learn another position to play if you're not as good as that person that's playing it right now. But we do try to keep them competitive and learning the game. It's a tough game. It's the single hardest athletic thing to do is hit a baseball. And the only thing that I know in life where you can do it 3 out of 10 times and make $1 million. So,
man, you ain't lied about that, because I thought about that. I'm like, man, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, can I hit a baseball? I don't think so, man. I mean, y'all got me throwing out the first pitch. I mean, if the offer still stands, I thought, am I okay? I just want to make sure. I ain't want to throw that out there, and then I get there, and then,
We'll loosen you up.
Okay, all right, yeah. I'm like, man, I don't want to be 50 Cent where I throw the pitch and then it goes that way, and I'm like, okay, all right, so I'm never going to show my face again.
Don't hit the mascot.
Don't hit the mascot. Well, tell the mascot to go on the other side of the field. Just in case, as safety. Do you see yourselves in these kids, especially on opening day? Is it easy for y'all to go back in time and say, man, I was that kid?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
I never played at the level that they're playing at. I mean, these kids, we always often talked. I mean, me, Bo, and Emmett, and Bobby Falls, Reggie. We look at these kids. I mean, look around them. Look what they got in front of them. Look what they got out there. We had to go play where we could find a field. A lot of times, you couldn't find a field. I played more baseball in my front yard than a lot of guys played on the field. And we would always bring the kids there, and we play catch and throw the ball around and everything. And I said, man, these kids come over here, and everything is handed to them, and they don't want to take it. You know.
A lot of times, I don't think our kids understand what they got in front of them. Not only are the facilities, but the personnel that we have on our staff. And this guy was a triple crown winner, and professionally. And Emmett was a 5'2" player. You know, Bobby Falls was drafted 3 times. Reggie Barringer played at the professional level, and I was fortunate enough to play at the major league level. We got all this in front of them. Even Fred Wright, who was a scout for 32 years, is in the mix. So I think parents and kids need to understand that this is over 100 years of professional baseball in front of you, and that has accomplished at a high level.
Don't make them feel old now. Don't they look? Hey, man, I see what you're trying to do.
I'm gonna throw you in there.
I got what, about 4 years of Little League experience. So if you want to lump that in there, I mean, if that counts for anything. Like one thing I think that's so cool about what you guys do at the Stick, Carolina's Metro Reds, and also Naho Foundation, there's always something going on.
Absolutely.
I mean, man, y'all are always busy. Also, I know opening day is tomorrow, but also, can you talk about West Side Story?
Yes.
For those who don't know.
I'm gonna let Tommy address that.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Oh,
Tommy Viola.
Well, first, let me just say, I mean, I'm sitting here with legends, right? So you don't have to ask me too many questions. But West Side Story is an amazing event that they started here a number of years ago, and looking forward to it. 3-day event, April 8th through the 10th. We'll have a pro-style workout one of the days. We'll have Morris has gotten 8 teams from the West Charlotte high school area. So that's exciting. There's going to be a tournament of 8 teams to play baseball, to win for a championship, which is just part of it. It's more about being out there. There's lunch and learns. There's opportunities to hear from people in the community. So it's going to be a special time. Really looking forward to it. April 8th, 9th, and 10th. Excited, right? We got some lunch and learns. We got the teams coming out. The pro-style workout on day 3 will be special, giving these kids an opportunity to go through some of the different workouts that they can to get some of those analytics and some of those numbers that they may want. So I'm excited for it. It's a great event. We had it, the last number of years, and it's back this year. And excited for tomorrow for opening day. So a lot of good stuff. You're right.
Oh man, always have something going on. Before I let y'all go, I can't. Again, it's opening day across the board. Memory that sticks out from opening day. It could be in your playing career. It could be as a fan. What's the baseball memory that sticks out for you? Just give me one. I know there's a million. I'll put you on the spot with that one. That means that's a hard question. I like that.
That's a tough one.
Oh man.
There's so many.
There's so many.
Yeah. I think for me is that I never had an opening day at the major league level, but I was that close.
Yeah.
Twice. And some of the guys that I would have played with when I was with the Dodgers, you're talking about Steve Sachs, Russell, Davey Lopes, Dusty Baker. Those are the guys I would have opened up with. And even when I was with the Pirates, you're talking about Barry Bonds and Andy Van Slyke and Bobby Bonilla and those guys. But I spent the whole spring training with them, and in the last week, I was sent down. But I don't see that as being a detriment. I think of it as being a little guy from Lawrence, South Carolina, having an opportunity to play at that level with those guys. So I look back on that stuff, and it's a fond memory for me.
Oh man, any memory? I mean, if look, I put you on the spot here, so if you don't have one, yeah.
I got one. And I played 15 years of minor league baseball, and one to stick out that in 1974, I went to spring training. I was going to quit baseball because I was getting nowhere in it. I stayed with the AAA club all spring, played every single game and get sent down. And I got sent back to Class A baseball with that. One of my friends that told me, I told you, I think I'm going to pack it in. He said, no, don't do it. That's what they want you to do. I said, well, I'm going to go back out here and show them that I can still play. So I go out and win a Triple Crown that year. And what happened? He gets sent back to the same place. They tried to get me up to the major league. They called. They were trying to get a reporter came around and followed me around for 3 weeks and did a 2-page article in Minneapolis paper. They banned him from the clubhouse, and they didn't bring me up. So those are fun memories, that stick out. That I mean, I love the game because if I didn't, I wouldn't have played it for 15 years. I loved it, and I still love it, or I wouldn't be doing it with.
Yeah. But it's the lessons, like you don't, things don't always go your way. You get knocked down.
Absolutely.
But also, I mean, you're still around the sport though.
Yeah, but they still, in professional baseball, it depends on how you end the year. It's going to determine where you start the next year. But that's not. I was a Minnesota Twin organization. If you can read back on them, then you'll know the reason why. And I tried to get out. The Dodgers tried to get me. They wouldn't deal with the Dodgers. But we were right up the street. Well, I'm surprised I didn't meet Morris when he was there. We played the Dodgers about every other day, and they tried to make a deal for me during the middle of the season. And then after the season, and their general manager, the director of minor league baseball, came up the first trip they made up and told me, we tried to make a deal with you, but they wouldn't deal. They just didn't want to see me leave, but they're not doing anything with me. Give me a chance to fail somewhere else, and I'm gonna fail.
Yeah.
You know, it never happened.
Man, yeah. What about you, Emmett? You got anything?
Well, for me, being drafted out of HBCU.
St. Augustine's University, Raleigh's own. Okay. I did my research now. Okay.
And going to Rookie Bowl and meeting the guys that you've seen play on TV. Willie Stargell, Bill Madlocks, Dave Parkers, on the field with these guys. And, you know, on TV to me they look huge, big guys. But I get there, and these guys are no bigger than I am, like George Bretts and these guys playing infield. I said, oh, okay, I can play this guy. I can play with these guys. I knew I could play, but seeing these guys and watching what they do on the field and evaluating myself against them, so they're no better than I am. So, rooming with guys, roommate Barry Bonds. Me and him roomed together for about 3 weeks. I've come back off an injury, and you know, just meeting people and enjoying. I wouldn't change anything in the world for being drafted by the Pirates.
Go ahead, finish this off, Tommy. I know you got it. I know.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Oh, man, I don't have anything like that. You know, I worked in minor league baseball for almost 20 years. Opening day is usually a blur to me because you're there with media at 3 a.m. and you're there till the end of the night. But you know, opening day for a baseball fan is, you know, I always say it's like Christmas Day. You know, you're just so excited for it. You can't wait. You're anxious all day. It's the best time of the year. You know, and then I always say too, every team is undefeated on opening day, right? So every team has a chance. But no, it's just a great day. And when baseball comes back, you get excited. You're watching the games. You're really a part of it. And you know, I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm excited for opening day here with the Carolinas Metro Reds and everything we have going. But opening day is special. It really is.
Get my arm.
Yeah, get your arm ready.
I'm a righty, man. I'm a righty. Guys, right. I'm gonna have to throw a couple of pitches before. I'm just saying.
We got you.
And move the mascot all the way over there on the other side.
You know what I'm referring to, with his Bull Durham?
Yeah.
Right.
He said, hit the mascot. That's the only thing he can do.
Shout out to Kevin Costner too. Thank you guys, man. I look forward to tomorrow, man. 9:15, everything kicks off right at the Stick. Am I correct?
9:15. Yep.
Yeah, say 9:15.
9:15. You don't want to miss it. Look, I say 9:15. Show up at 8 o'clock. There's nothing wrong with that. Get there a little early. Get the prime parking spot. Get there early, guys. Thank you again. I'm excited about tomorrow. Carolinas Metro Reds opening day tomorrow. They have so many great things going on. Thank you guys for stopping by.
Thank you.
Let's.
We'll be able to copy this.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, I was telling I got 2 sons and they're looking forward to it.
Man, tell them I get them the link. I get Tommy the link.
I'll get it to you.
Let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So earlier today on Capitol Hill, we heard from lawmakers introducing the Warrior Act to protect military women in combat. Let's take a listen into what they had to say.
Into the force in this way. And again, I just want to reinforce from a personal perspective, the most lethal warrior that I know and have served with was a woman, and I would go to battle with her, just as Derek said, every single day of the week, month, and year. And I know all of us know that to be the case, but given the lies and the misinformation coming from this administration, from Secretary Hegseth, from a 5-time draft dodger in Donald Trump, we have to say that over and over again, and we will prevail in that victory. So thank you again. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Maggie, and to all my colleagues here. And now my honor to introduce one of the most long-standing leaders in this area, and someone that I've got to know and work alongside on several issues, Miss Sue Fulton. Thank you. And thanks for holding my umbrella.
You bet. Thank you, Pat Ryan, Army. If it ain't raining, we ain't training. Thank you so much to the members of Congress who are here today, especially Chrissy Houlihan, who inspires me constantly. 50 years ago, on July 7, 1976, I first raised my right hand to swear a solemn oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I was joined by 118 other young women and over 1,000 young men, not counting the disgruntled upperclassmen charged with our training. We were the first women cadets in West Point history, and the men were not pleased. We wore uniforms and gear designed for men. We learned to operate weapons designed for men and passed physical fitness tests designed for men. So as women in the United States Armed Forces throughout history have done, we persevered. We overcame every obstacle put in our path. We met and exceeded the standards. For me, I was chosen for company command as a lieutenant above 2 senior ranking officers based on my performance in the field. Just one of hundreds of thousands of women who haven't just met the standards but exceeded them. It took us years of proving our worth, but especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, it became undeniable that women have the grit and the courage to face enemy fire, to destroy the enemy, to lead and to rescue their fellow troops. Women proved themselves qualified for the toughest jobs in ground combat arms, and in the process brought their own talents and gifts to the fight. For the past 10 years, women have met the grueling male standards for combat arms, including infantry leadership and ranger school. At the same time, they often outperform their peers with superior problem-solving skills, maturity, leadership, and long-term endurance. Today, men take it for granted that women serve alongside them as part of the team. We've heard men cite how a woman helped them get through ranger school. Senior enlisted and officer leaders have testified that women have helped, not hurt, the effectiveness of our combat forces. 5 years of studies show women are succeeding in ground combat units so thoroughly that they stopped doing the studies. And we've heard reports from the field that having women in the ranks also motivates men to raise their game. Women have made our fighting force stronger, smarter, and better. The last thing we need for our fighting forces is to disqualify people based on ideology and prejudice, especially from a secretary who, as it was quoted in the New York Times this morning, wouldn't stand next to a black female general, who is eliminating black and women candidates for senior leadership. We need all the talent available to keep America safe. We need people who have the competence, character, and commitment to serve, period. Nothing else matters. Thank you. I'll be followed by Kayla Williams, who is an Army veteran, combat veteran, and a senior advisor to the Vet Voice Foundation. Kayla?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Sue, and thank you all for including me today. I'm proud to stand alongside all of these leaders representing the Vet Voice Foundation and our 2 million supporters nationwide. I'm Kayla Williams. 23 years ago this month, I took part in the initial invasion of Iraq as part of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. As an Arabic linguist able to translate between our troops and the local population, I went on combat foot patrols with the infantry in Baghdad with no plates in my flak vest because at the time women weren't allowed to be in combat, so they weren't issued to me. As we all learned, of course, enemy fighters and roadside bombs don't care about your MOS or your gender. All that mattered was that I could do my job, which I did, including during months as the most forward deployed female soldier with conventional U.S. forces. None of this is remarkable. Women have always served. Recognizing how essential women troops were for accomplishing the mission and the critical role played by hundreds of thousands of women like me, over a decade ago, civilian and military leaders with decades of honorable service and deep expertise rescinded the combat exclusion policy. Since then, women have succeeded in every role opened to them. Thousands are now serving in combat arms jobs and units. The vast majority of today's troops have only served under this policy. They have worked alongside women throughout their military careers. Whatever challenges there were to integrating women have long been solved. But today, all of this hard-won progress is at risk because of Pete Hegseth, a tabless leg with zero integrity who doesn't believe that women belong in combat. It's hard to believe that an infantry major with neither a Ranger tab nor airborne wings and no history of company command is the man pretending no woman can succeed where he personally has failed. Ignoring decades of research and the thoughtful judgment of those with far more knowledge and experience, Pete Hegseth wants to impose his extremist ideological beliefs on all the armed forces. And if he succeeds, it will have devastating effects on our readiness. It's absurd to think that brawn is the only thing that matters in combat. Audie Murphy, the most decorated American in World War II, was my height. Excluding half the population during an ongoing recruiting crisis while launching into another war is absurd. Here in the United States of America, our diversity is our strength. Diversity is lethality, and women make combat arms units stronger, smarter, and better. We cannot risk going back to ridiculous rules that forced commanders to attach women where they were needed in Iraq and Afghanistan because we couldn't be assigned to those units just because of one insecure man's whim. That's why this legislation is so important, and I urge Congress to pass it as quickly as possible. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over now to Representative Cisneros.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Congressman Gil Cisneros, and I represent California's 31st Congressional District. I want to thank my colleagues, Rep. Houlihan, Rep. Gudlander, for their leadership in introducing this legislation. Military service changed my life, and I take pride in the time that I spent in the Navy. And I believe anyone wanting to make the sacrifice should be given equal opportunity and access to serve our country. As a United States Navy veteran and former Undersecretary of Defense, I can say some of the best individuals I have served with have been women. And it's ridiculous that their value to our country in uniform is continuously being questioned by this administration. It's a 21st century, yet language for employment guidelines and military readiness standards is centuries behind. And as has been said, our current Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, wants to take us back even further and deny women their opportunity to serve. What he wants to do is place in regulations that would have a glass ceiling preventing women service members from reaching their potential, not allowing them to serve and not be aligned with their strengths. I want to be clear. Women in combat roles have and do meet the fitness standards required for their job. The recurring threats to remove their ability to be in these roles has nothing to do with their fitness ability. Just last year, we had the first woman compete and complete the U.S. Army's three-day Best Ranger competition. Over 4,500 women currently serve in combat-related roles. No one bent the rules on fitness standards to get them there. They earned it by their merit. The introduction of the Warrior Act will make military service members more inclusive by removing gender-based exclusions in jobs, improving transparency from the Department of Defense, and increasing congressional oversight. With this legislation, we can ensure that anyone qualified for a military service role is eligible to be considered through fair, holistic evaluation based on their ability, regardless of their gender identity. In our globalized world, it is important that our nation's defense are as strong as possible, and diversity is an asset. This legislation makes the military inclusive for qualified individuals to serve. Thank you for joining us today for the introduction of this important legislation. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Representative Goodlander.
Thank you, Gil. Kayla, I think you should be the Secretary of Defense. Just want to say that at the top. Sue, it's an honor to be with you, and to all my colleagues, especially to Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, the ultimate warrior. I would go to battle with you anywhere, Chrissy, and I'm grateful that you brought us all together this morning. I represent the state of New Hampshire, and our motto is live free or die. America.
All right, so that's that press conference from earlier introducing the Warrior Act there on Capitol Hill. Let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. All right, so we are learning new details after a restaurant in Charlotte on Central Avenue was shot into. Let's send it over to WCNC Charlotte's Anna King, who is live there at that restaurant. Anna, what can you tell us?
Yeah, like you said, we are learning new details right now. We just finished speaking with some customers, not who were here that night, but some customers who come here pretty often who were definitely shocked by the news. Just coming here, you can see here at Tacos El Novato, you can see right there by the open sign, you can see the
All right, so it looks like we lost Anna's shot there. We'll try to get her back. Let's see if we can get Anna back. Anna, can you hear us out there?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you.
Okay, they got
Let's
me.
toss it back to you.
Sorry about that. But yeah, so according to the police report, there were 19 people inside, and the manager here told me she wasn't here when it happened, but she was definitely shocked and rushed here when she got the call, just honestly expecting the worst when she got here. But luckily for everyone here, it wasn't as bad as everyone assumed, or as many people assume when you hear there was a shooting here at a restaurant. Apparently just one person was injured and not too badly. So right now we're just getting the details, getting the pieces together, as there is still an investigation underway here in East Charlotte on this restaurant.
Anna King there live for us. Anna, you can catch Anna at 4 and 6. Anna, thank you for your time. Let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So as the Charlotte Hornets push toward the playoffs and Women's History Month wraps up, we're spotlighting a leader behind one of the team's most recognizable spirit squads. After a big Hornets win last night, we had the chance to welcome Anna Oboise, the head coach of the Honeybees, owner of NC Dance District, and the founder of Project Full Out. Meg Bragg was here in studio with that interview, a special interview for us. Let's take a listen to it.
Well, an awesome time for the Charlotte Hornets, and it's great to be involved with the Hornets organization right now. They are just on such a hot streak, and because it is Women's History Month and it is wrapping up, we're going to show you someone that is in the full swing of it, really. After a big Hornets win last night, we welcome Anna, right?
Correct.
Okay, Boise. She's the head coach of the Honeybees, I should say, and owner of NC Dance District and founder of Project Full Out. Mm-hmm. Anna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we were just saying, earlier, what an exciting time to just A, be in that arena, but B, to be involved in all of this. What is it like there?
It's electric, honestly. I mean, every time I walk into that arena, as I mentioned, I pinch myself that this is actually my job, but it's such an exciting time to be a Hornets fan. I think it's really energized, and from the moment that the first fan walks into this arena to the moment they walk out, as an NBA dancer, our primary job is to maintain that fan experience, and so our Honeybees have just done an amazing job at doing that. Our performances have been on fire. Their energy is incredible. The fan interaction action is like none other, and so it's just been a really fun time. I'm really, really proud of this incredible group of women.
And I'm sure, though, too, with all those fans there, I'm sure it gives the girls just even more, hypeness and wanting to dance and perform, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our performances, we have had to take them up a notch because of the winning streak and like all the fun, and so they've really leaned into my crazy ideas and like creativity and trying to do more production style performances and storytelling just to keep the fans super engaged, and they've been so receptive to it. So it's been a fun ride.
Okay, so how do you continue to empower these women and, keep them excited?
Yeah, I just remind them to be their full self, show up every day, never dim your light, just really lean into the gift of dance that God has given to all of them, and just allow that to be their driving force, and remembering why they're doing it, why they're there. And that's something that we talk about as a little pep talk. We do a little circle prayer before we go out there just to get our minds right and prepare for the really, really intense, busy day. But yeah, just remind them to be your full self, never dim your light, always remember why you're doing it and why you're here, and stay rooted into that gratitude, and just enjoy the ride, enjoy the moment every single day. Every single day.
Okay, you're the first black coach of the Honeybees in 20 years, also an alumni. How has your team evolved, and what does it mean to you as a coach?
Yeah, well, talk about full circle moment. I was actually on the team 20 years ago. Yeah. So it's definitely been a full circle moment. I love that I lead such a diverse team in itself, and it's something that I just hold with such a high regard. It's such an honor. Historically, the Honeybees have always been known for precision and performance and glam, and so the evolution is really just how creatively we can be at displaying that and maintaining that standard, and even more so, it's just amazing to be a part of an organization where diversity is not only celebrated, but is naturally woven into who we are as an organization, as a team, and really as a city. So it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. I'm so deeply grateful. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about your dance studio and how it is juggling, both things, right?
Honey, it's a lot. And talk about an intense season, and the studio, so it's like my child. We turned 15 years old in October, and it was such a joy to see it evolve into where it is today. I opened a studio 15 years ago because I felt there was a void of an establishment where aspiring dancers can continue their career outside of just the normal kid studio. And so as an NBA dancer, as someone that was really interested in getting into the business, into the industry, I wanted to create an environment that was supportive but also provided quality instruction. And so our mission is to create countless opportunities for local dancers to train, perform, and live out their dreams. And so that has been the driving force with the studio. And we have girlies in their 20s all the way up to their 60s coming through the studio and having a blast. And so it's just been a beautiful thing to watch.
And also on top of that, you also have a nonprofit, Project Full Out. You are a busy girl.
Yes, I'm a busy bee. Yes, I am.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
So Project Full Out is our performance platform and obviously our nonprofit. So we have the studio at Dance District, but when the girlies want a little bit of an extra moment and they want to feel like Beyonce on the stage, we have this performance platform where over the course of 6 to 8 weeks we'll have a concentrated training program, and there's no pre-requirements. You don't have to have a super extensive dance background. Just be committed to yourself, and we'll produce a whole show, and it's big lights, camera, action, big production, and it's just so amazing to watch. So I see them transform from like shy in the studio just with their girlies to like on a stage, and you can't tell them anything. You would think they were like the star of the show, and so it's a beautiful thing. We call them second chance dancers, and it's just a way for them to kind of continue to live out their dreams.
And if people want to get involved in that, or how can they find information on that?
We are on all platforms all over, so either search for Project Full Out. You can go to projectfullout.com for information on our nonprofit and our performance platform, ncdancedistrict.com for the studio, and of course you can find the Honeybees at the Spectrum Arena.
Do you have a question?
I do actually.
Okay, yes,
I'm a dancer myself, and like you do so much with dance. I mean, I know it's just demanding on your mind and your body. Like, what fuels you?
Yeah. Honestly, dance is such a universal language. For me, even when I was on the stage and as a performer, it was never just about performance, but how it helped me connect with people. And just having that common language and that common, like, okay, this is our moment, we're about to have a good time, have fun. The joy that comes out of being able to put a smile on someone's face or make them feel good and empowered. So I always remind myself about that when my knees are a little achy, when my neck is kind of stiff, you know, it's just like, it's more than just yourself, it's how you connect and really pour into other people. Right. I believe that's what the gift of dance is about, uplifting and pouring into someone else and, you know, spreading that joy and like making their day a little bit brighter.
Right.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you check out the Hornets and see the honeybees just busting out those moves, know that this lady is the one behind it, okay?
Thank you.
Anna, thank you so much.
Man, and the Hornets are hot too. Woo! I grew up a Lakers fan, but I might be a Hornets fan now. On that note, let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Let's go to Grapevine, Texas, where some of the biggest names in the Republican Party are there this week for the annual Conservative Political Action Conference at the Gaylord Texan Resort and Convention Center. It goes through tomorrow, but is still continuing today. Let's take a listen in to what's happening right now there at the conference.
Television, the recording industry, cinema, medicines. The United States, year after year, generally accounts for about 2/3 of all new medicines introduced in the world. Why is that? We amount for about 5% of the world's population. We've got the biggest economy in the world, but it's about 25% of the world's economy. We account for 2/3 of new pharmaceuticals. It's because we're so inventive and we are the country that most protects intellectual property and patent rights. So if you have an idea, where do you come to create it and invest in it and market it and develop it and sell it? The United States of America. No nation is even close. Ask yourself, currently or in human history, what nation stands out like we do in terms of innovation? And what distinguishes us most, we are a free market economy generally, and we have been. That accounts for a lot of it. But a lot of economies are. Sorry, Steve. Some economies are, not a lot maybe. More should be. But nobody comes close to us in terms of intellectual property. So a lot of us like to call that the secret sauce of innovation. One last thing in terms of affordability. You can't have affordability for something that's not available. So everybody wants to talk about how much cheaper drugs are in foreign countries. What they don't tell you is a lot of those foreign countries, even advanced countries, Britain, Germany, Japan, Australia, they get somewhere around half to 2/3 of the new life-saving drugs that we get in America. They just don't sell them because you can't sell them there because you'll just lose money on it. So affordability, sometimes used in air quotes, can just make things unavailable. So when we start imposing price controls, if you're a developer, why are you going to develop something and sink billions of dollars into creating it if you can't make a profit off of it? And so keep that in mind, and that's why it's so important in intellectual property.
Tim, let me, Tim D. Let me come back to, I know, it can get a little confusing. Timmy D.
Sounds too close to Lee.
Yes, let me come back to the issue. Another issue we've all been working on is the issue. President Trump talks about middlemen, right? He talks about this issue of, and your colleague Phil Kerpen has done some great work on this, both of your colleagues, Steve and Tim, on the issue of the middlemen and PBMs. This is a big debate. Talk about the middlemen. Talk about why this is a problem. Talk about the work you guys are doing on all of this.
Well, look, I mean, if you try and understand how a drug comes to market, it's going to take you an undergraduate degree, maybe an advanced degree, to figure it out. It is the most complex system that we have, and it's been that way because of groups like AARP and Democrats and, liberal Republicans who have enabled the system to be this way.
Hold on. You're laying up. Tell us all how you really feel about AARP, Tim. Please.
Sorry, FAARP.
Amen.
Sorry about that. We can all rise that. Sorry, Mom, but I have to say it. FAARP. But but really, with the PBMs, you place somebody in the middle that's doing something that they don't have to report. They don't have to report how much money they're negotiating for, how much money they give. Does this sound like the transparent government that we were promised in 1776? Does this sound like it? Because this is all federal law that enables them to do it. And so when you include that in a system, prices go up, drugs become less available, and people suffer. People like me suffer for it.
And this is part of what the president's doing with Trump RX is one way of tilting at this windmill. What the FTC has been doing. There was language in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act to get rid of the nasty rebates that don't actually get rebated back to consumers. So this is all progress here. Steve, as an economist, the issue of scarcity, right? We understand that when insurance gets involved, and it's not really insurance in the traditional sense, right? It's a cost-sharing mechanism. It obfuscates the way that the market is supposed to work, but we also simply don't have enough doctors, nurses, and physicians' assistants to go around. How do we deal with this? How do we get the greater abundance with the AARP and United Health and others sort of getting in the middle there?
No, I'm going to make this really simple to people because I think you'd all agree with this. In this country, we could get better health care for half the cost, right? For half the cost if we simply had a more rational system.
Right.
And so who's making all this money? By the way, our health results in the last 10 years are not very good. You're right, Tim. The cost. Remember, by the way, do you all remember what the title, the name of the Obamacare bill was? The Affordable Care Act. Right. Does anybody really think it's affordable today? So what I'm here to tell you is we could cut these costs dramatically by cutting out these middlemen. And so there's two groups that are right now, as we speak, on Capitol Hill, lobbying for more and more and more subsidies, and more, by the way, subsidies coming out of your and my pocket, taxpayer subsidies. Now, what do you think those two groups are? Number one, the insurance companies. Right. The health insurance companies are the villains here, folks. They are the ones right now lobbying for more and more and more Obamacare subsidies because in just the last 2 years, the health insurance companies in America made $150 billion. Wow. Now, look, I love profit. I'm not against profits. I want our companies to be as profitable as possible, but they're making their profits out of your tax dollars. And so that's number one. And number two, it's been the conglomeration of the hospitals. Right. And by the way, the other group that's getting screwed by this is doctors. 100%. Physicians aren't being paid what they should be, but because you've got an oligopoly in the healthcare industry created by government that is screwing our doctors, screwing our patients, and here's what I love about what Donald Trump said in his State of the Union message. And how many of you agree with him on this? The dollars should follow the patients. They shouldn't go to the health insurance companies.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And you know, it's one of those things where a lot of folks don't understand that the Affordable Care Act was ultimately a buy-off for big insurance, right?
Yes.
Our coalition against socialized medicine. For those of you who understand your Karl Marx, right? Socialism is the transitional phase between capitalism and communism, pure communism. The Affordable Care Act was the transitional phase between a free market economy and socialized medicine. It's part of what we're working on here. I mean, Tim, you have thoughts, you know, we're at the 15th anniversary of the Affordable Care Act. You guys are, again, doing more work at Unleash on this as well.
Yeah, and one of the things that you see with the Affordable Care Act, as Steve mentioned, I mean, the prices have just gone higher. Families are paying now for an employee-sponsored coverage 30% more than in 2009 when we were promised to save remember when Barack Obama said we're going to save $2,500, families are going to save that? Yeah, that's not the case here. And what's happened is the left, the Democrats have said, well, we'll just subsidize, we'll just throw more money at it. Andrew, and you know it's not a good idea to throw good money at bad, so we need to reject that. And the other thing that they're proposing are price caps, which is exactly what the Soviet Union did. They put price caps on everything. You can't sell it for this, you have to sell it for this. So what happens when you get price caps? You get less of it. And you get less innovation because the companies that bring them to market don't have the money to do it. So people like me don't get better insulin. And I'm sorry to make it about me, but healthcare is the most personal thing.
It's fine.
It's
it
the
can
most
all be about
personal thing people have.
Tim Lee, so, you know, on this issue, we know that the vast majority of savings when it comes to pharmaceuticals are from generics, right? And that the next phase of all of this is biosimilars, what should have been called biogenerics, but they're called biosimilars. But again, talk about this, talk about the issue, what, 90% of the cost savings in pharmaceuticals comes from the introduction of generics. Let's go back to this issue. If we don't have innovation today, we don't have innovative generics or innovative biosimilars 12 years down the road. Talk about this.
Right, so speaking about intellectual property earlier, obviously these aren't perpetual rights. You don't have a patent that lasts forever, and it kind of varies depending on the type of drug. But it runs out after a few years, at which point generics come in and they do cut costs. But what we want to do is allow that patent to last long enough that the company that created it can make profits. And so once you do go to generics, though, and that has happened, it moves on to that. And so, you know, speaking about what other nations don't have in terms of available life-saving pharmaceuticals, because they impose price controls, I mentioned earlier, some of these advanced countries that we think of as advanced have something like half, two-thirds of the new drugs that we get. Instead of importing their price controls here, and the Trump administration has done great work on this, we are telling them, stop imposing drug price controls on products that are developed here.
Right.
Because you guys aren't paying your fair share. So instead of importing price controls, we need to export the free market on that. One last thing going forward, one of the most helpful things that you all can do, sign up for the Unleash Prosperity emails. Every day they have like 5 topics. They include a lot of very useful graphs that help clarify things for you. It's extremely helpful. Coming into your inbox every day. It's
UnleashProsperity.com. Thank you.
Yes,
absolutely.
You get that. No cost to you, because as we all here, as you know, with basic knowledge of economics, we know there's no such thing as a free lunch or a free item, but we know there is no cost to you. The daily email. Steve does. Phil Kerpen works on it with him, but it's all good. Steve, what are we missing here? Well, in terms of this fight, in terms of the issue of AARP and big insurance, what do we do about that now?
Well, by the way, just go to UnleashProsperity.com and you can get it for $1,000. Now, it's absolutely free, so we want all of you to sign up for that. Listen, the free market works in every single industry in America. It's the reason we're the most powerful, richest country in the world, and yet we don't use free markets in healthcare. It just doesn't make any sense. So we need to have people knowing what things cost. By the way, it's the only industry when you go into a hospital or you go to your doctor, when's the last time you asked what...
All right, so that is the CPAC conference underway there in Grapevine, Texas. Let's come back out here and let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Hey everyone, back here for the news on WCNC Plus, taking over for Nick Sturdivant for the next 2 hours. Let's go to VP J.D. Vance, who's had a busy couple of days, of course, with the Iran war still ongoing. This happened just hours ago. Let's go to this now.
That has really taken this seriously until the president put us really from day one of the Trump administration, who said we have to take the fraud issue seriously. And a lot of the anti-fraud protections that existed in our government for a very long time were actually turned off by the Biden administration. So we think fraud has been a problem for a long time. It became a massive, massive problem under the Biden administration. We're going to do a number of things. First of all, we're going to turn back on those anti-fraud protections so that all of these cabinet officials are looking at what's going on and focusing on it. The second thing is that we're going to take a whole of government approach. So much of what's going to make the anti-fraud task force work is that we're communicating across different departments. So when Bobby Kennedy is talking to Scott Bessent about things that he's seeing in Medicare and Medicaid, when Scott is seeing things at Treasury, when Brooke is seeing things at Agriculture, when Scott is seeing things at Housing and Urban Development, what we're going to actually do is force the bureaucracy to take this seriously and work together as political principles to make sure that we stop allowing fraudsters to steal the American people's money. And that brings me to my final point before I'll kick it over to Andrew, who is leading this anti-fraud task force. This is not just theft of the American people's money. This is also theft of critical services that the American people rely on. Some of you have heard me tell this story before, but I think that the autism scam that we've seen in the Somalian parts of Minnesota really illustrates well what's been going on across whole layers of our government. So you have a program set up under Medicaid to help autistic children and their families get the resources that they need, because of course we know that when you have a kid who's on the spectrum, it requires a little bit more help, a little bit more services. And so the government, enforcing the mandate from the American people to be kind and compassionate to our citizens, has set up this program to help families who are dealing with these particular struggles. Now, what we've seen is Somali fraudsters at an industrial scale taking advantage of that program to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. And there are two separate tragedies there. The first tragedy is that you have people who pay into the federal government, who pay into the IRS, who pay their taxes expecting that those taxes will go to help their fellow citizens, and it's not going there. It's going to help fraudsters. That's tragedy number one. And the more important tragedy is that you have families who need these services who are unable to get them because people are getting rich off of fraud schemes instead of making sure that autistic children and their families get access to these resources. And unfortunately, that story, while it's very concrete and very obvious what we're seeing in Minneapolis, it is replayed again and again and again across many states and across many different programs. It has to stop. The President of the United States has ordered us to stop it, and that's what this task force is going to do. So without further ado, I'll kick it over to Andrew, who will talk about some of our work here today. But the most exciting thing is that this task force is finally stood up. We've got allies at Department of Justice now who are going to take this thing by the horns. We've got allies across every major significant department, and we are going to stop the fraud that's being committed against the American people. Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'd like to begin by thanking President Trump and the Vice President for the confidence they put in me to help lead the task force. America is the most generous nation in the history of the world. For decades, Americans have turned over trillions of their tax dollars to social welfare programs to help their neighbors and fellow citizens through hard times. They've done so on the basis of social trust, the belief that their government, state and federal, will do the right things with their dollars and that their fellow citizens will honestly participate in these programs. Fraud shreds the social trust on which these programs and our entire nation depend. This fraud crisis is thus existential. If we fail to address it, the fabric of our nation will swiftly unravel. And the American people feel like they are getting ripped off, and they're right. As the President's executive order establishing this task force declared, extensive, undetected fraud can only exist in a system that ignores it. And fraud is indeed easy to ignore when grasping politicians are in on the con. For years, the Biden administration and its allies in Democrat-run states knew of this corruption in our federal benefits programs and did nothing about it. Their failures have robbed every American citizen of their tax dollars, but even worse, they've deprived American citizens who actually need these services. Every dollar diverted to a fake hospice or a fake autism center, every dollar paid to an upcoding hospital deprives an American citizen who needs these essential services. Fraud therefore wounds the neediest among us, the very people that Americans want to help when they fund our social welfare programs. Finally, we have a president who is doing something about this corruption crisis. We are here today because President Trump and Vice President Vance won't ignore it. And we won't ignore the public officials who have facilitated it. Our work on this task force will be to develop a comprehensive national strategy to combat the corruption of our federal benefits programs and to assist the Department of Justice in prosecuting those who have corrupted them. In doing so, we will restore the social trust that has been lost because of mismanagement and fraud. The presence today of so many members of the President's cabinet, including the Vice President himself, is a testimony to the importance of our work and its priority in this administration. Together, we can remove the scourge of fraud in our federal benefits programs, and we can restore public confidence in their efficacy and integrity. I look forward to our important work. And with that, I'll turn it over to Stephen Miller.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you to the Vice President for your leadership in establishing this task force and for gathering us all here today. And I have some personal behind-the-scenes experience with talking to the Vice President and seeing how resolutely determined he was at the very first exposure of some of these shocking discoveries to create, establish, and launch this task force. And if you knew what I knew about the people at this table, you would understand just how committed this government, this administration is to ending this massive theft of American taxpayer dollars. The people at this table are all united in absolute determination to stop this plague of fraud, criminality, and abuse. I think what's important for Americans to understand about how pervasive and widespread the fraud is that all of our systems were set up and established for a high-trust society. I think that most citizens probably assume that there's some verification process that takes place for the receipt of most federal benefits. The reality is that there is not. This is particularly true in blue states, willfully true in blue states, in which all of these programs are operated entirely on the honor system. No verification takes place before individuals are enrolled in or receive these benefits. So as a simple example, if you're a Somali refugee living in Minnesota, you could lie about how many children you have. You could lie about what your immigration status is. You could lie about your marital status. You could lie about child care. You could lie about disability. You could lie about all these things and many more. And nobody in the state of Minnesota would validate any of these facts before writing you a check. We at the federal government are simply sent a bill from the state of Minnesota for the cost of providing these services in the aggregate. So to take the food stamp program as an example, SNAP, and that of course is administered by Secretary Rollins, we do not know the names of any SNAP recipient in the state of Minnesota. We just get a blank check. We have asked the state repeatedly and tried to compel the state unsuccessfully to turn over their SNAP enrollment rolls so we could ascertain such basic facts as, are these people even legally eligible to receive these benefits? And the state has refused. Absolutely, categorically refused. And in fact, the state has spent millions of dollars in court for the singular purpose of trying to prevent the state from ascertaining the identity of a single SNAP recipient in the entire state of Minnesota. Think about what this does to public trust, social trust, people's faith in the system, right? Imagine in a community, a working class community in the Twin Cities, say a native Minnesotan who works as a lineman or works as a construction worker, works in any job that requires hard work, dedication, focus, who's worried about his ability to support for and provide his family. And then imagine that he has a neighbor who's a Somali refugee who arrived 2 years ago and has a Mercedes and no financial stress and no worries at all in the entire world and never seems to ever go to work at all because he just went to an office in the state, lied on a piece of paper, and got unlimited free money forever for life. That is the system that is being run, and that is the corruption that this task force, under the leadership of the Vice President, is going to demolish. And I'll just conclude by saying that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the atrocity that is taking place in Congress with congressional Democrats fighting relentlessly to abolish the very federal agencies that are responsible for policing and investigating fraud, as well as all matters of homeland and national security. I see, of course, a new secretary who has just been confirmed to DHS, my good friend, Mark Wayne Mullen. He now takes command of a department whose men and women have been working without pay for weeks on end to protect and defend the American people, to protect and defend our coastlines, to protect and defend our families. Well, they've been treated with nothing but derision, hatred, and contempt by congressional Democrats. It is legislative terrorism. It is one of the greatest abominations that has ever occurred in the history of this country, and it's to the everlasting and eternal shame of the Democrat Party. Again, thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your leadership and vision in establishing this task force. I'm proud to serve on it under your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks, everybody. We're not going to take questions because we have some very important work to do, but we will certainly do some press events in the future. Thank you all.
All right, folks, we're going to go to a 2-minute break. On the other side of this, we'll try and go to CPAC. Seems like there's another speaker up at the podium. We'll come back in 2. All right, guys, we are back and go to CPAC happening live right now.
And fight to fix it. And I would tell them because it can't be fixed. The left is too far gone. I've questioned a lot recently if I can continue to be a Republican. I know many of you out there agree. Everything seems at times very fake and gay. And I strive to be authentic and gay. I think we should all strive to be authentic and gay every day. We need to see justice for the victims of January 6th who were financially destroyed and seem to have been completely forgotten. Completely forgotten. We need accountability for Fauci and the horrors inflicted during COVID. We need to see accountability for Fani Willis and Letitia James and all the rotten apples who still exist. All the rotten apples who still exist in the FBI and DOJ. We need the SAVE Act passed right now so we can begin to trust in our elections. We need affordable housing and lower interest rates so that people under 30 can believe that home ownership and the American dream are still possibilities for them. We need promises kept on mass deportations and the prioritization of American jobs going to American workers. And we need to fight against censorship, online and offline, every single day, because that fight never ends. I don't want to walk away from the right. I want to stay and fight to fix it. Because if we can continue to talk to each other openly and honestly without engaging in personal attacks or assuming bad intentions, our differences are not so great that they can't be overcome. My organization, #Walkaway Campaign, will continue to dive into the conservative divide this year with an ongoing series of panel debates for social media. This week we filmed the first one, Conservative Boomers versus Conservative Millennials, with the hope of bridging the divide and bringing us closer together to the golden age of our movement. Please follow our work and our mission by going to walkawaycampaign.com and signing up for our email and text list so that you can stay notified as these videos come out. And please support our work. That's walkawaycampaign.com. We only lose when we stop telling the truth and when we stop allowing the truth to be told. And if there's one thing you can count on, it is that I will never stop telling the truth. God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Peace Room. Please welcome host of the War Room, Steve Bannon.
Thank you. Look, there was a lot of wisdom in what Brandon had to say, right, about all these fights, etc. And that's going to be worked out. The most important people here are you. You have to be convinced. We're in the middle of a war right now, or let me say probably the start of a war. The decision in going forward is obviously the commander-in-chief's. But he's got to have, people have to have his back, and you're only going to do that with full information. You have to be convinced that this is the right thing to do, particularly now that we're on the eve of potentially the insertion of American combat troops. Your sons, daughters, granddaughters, grandsons could be on Karg Island or be holding a beachhead down by the Strait of Hormuz, a place I had the pleasure of transiting on a Navy destroyer back in 1980. And let me tell you, it looks like the surface of the moon. It couldn't be more foreign to folks in the United States. But as all this debate goes on and, who's right, who's wrong, what's going to happen, it's a debate that has to happen. We have work to do, and we have work to do today. In a room next door, there are 150 grassroots leaders in the state of Texas that have brought about one of the biggest changes in this country. They passed a Proposition 10 to ban Sharia law in the state of Texas. Starting with no resources and no support, they got almost 2 million votes. That's the work we need today. Because I'll tell you what, a bigger threat to this country right now is in City Hall in New York City, in these mosques in North Texas. The Dallas Morning News, normally I'll bring up as a heuristic device the Financial Times or the Wall Street Journal, but here this is the Dallas Morning News. Paxton Cornyn divided on CPAC, right? Cornyn's not coming. You know why? He didn't think you were important enough to talk to. Politico reports this morning
in an article called Texas Hold'em that President Trump, in all likelihood, is not going to endorse in this race. Why is that? Because the hard work of the grassroots community got in back of Ken Paxton. They dropped almost $100 million of negative ads on Ken Paxton. And right now in the latest poll, Ken Paxton is up by 8 points. That's a victory for you. Ken Paxton's emblematic of the grassroots and the MAGA movement throughout the nation. It's more than just an attorney general, more than just an individual. It was about the establishment causing a mess in the state of Texas, refusing to deal with it. And when Paxton came out and ran for the Senate, he didn't have to be defeated. He had to be destroyed. Just like they tried to destroy Donald Trump. And you had his back. And that's why Paxton is grinding this out to victory. I also believe there needs to be a major investigation of the Cornyn political operation, how they raised this money, who put the money in, and how the money was spent to destroy Ken Paxton. It's not acceptable. The grassroots are winning all over the place. Look in the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. They're trying to shift the House to be 10-1. The Republican establishment there absolutely epically failed, and then Youngkin walked away after a horrible putting forward a campaign this last election cycle. The grassroots under Jeff Ryer, a grassroots chairman of the GOP in Virginia and the Commonwealth, have got thousands of grassroots volunteers, people just like yourself, going door to door right now. And Spanberger's landslide on April 21st looks like she could be defeated. So her entire plan to flip the House and impeach Trump and become Newsom's vice president is being thwarted right now by grassroots people. In a courtroom in Georgia right now, they've got the toughest, most expensive lawyers from the left, Norm Eisen and Abby Lowell, in a 5-hour evidentiary hearing. What? To get the evidence back, to get the ballots back. Why? The 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump, and they know it. You think they have them down there just like in this room, grassroots people fought for 6 years. They threatened them with prison. They threatened them with bankruptcy. They threatened them to lose their jobs, lose their families, all of it. And those heroes stood in the breach. And now we have the evidence. We have the evidence that the Republican establishment did not want you to see, that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. Everywhere you look around, the Republican establishment creates a mess that you have to go in and clean up. Amen, brother. Too good for him. Victory begets victory. The victory of Paxton will drive us forward. A victory in Virginia will drive us forward. A victory in Georgia will drive us forward to ultimate victory. Don't listen. I don't want to hear talk about the midterm. I don't want to hear talk about 2028. There are decades in which nothing happens, and there are weeks in which decades happen. We're in those weeks, one after the other, after the other, after the other. You put your shoulder to the wheel, and we are going to win. We're going to hold the House and hold the Senate and have President Trump come back to mass deportations, right? Mass deportations. To unchain Bobby Kennedy, who you're going to hear tomorrow. We have the right policies. We just need the resolve to see it through, finish what we started. Over a year ago, when Matt and Mercy decided that D.C. wasn't the right place for CPAC, they picked Texas. How providential was that? Given what happened on Proposition 10, given this long shot bet of Ken Paxton right here, right now. And you know why? The state of Texas is the jewel in the crown of the union. Where Texas goes, so goes the nation, and where the nation goes, so goes the world. Now, there have been people here that I highly respect, guys like Josh Hammer. I have him on the show a lot, love his book, a good man and a smart man. But came up yesterday and attacking MTG and Matt Gaetz and Megyn Kelly and Tucker. What's important is not Candace and Tucker and Megyn Kelly or Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro. What is important is you. You need to come to your own conclusion, to weigh and measure the evidence, to think about the direction of this republic, to think what America First actually stands for, to think through who are our real allies and who are out for themselves. And most importantly, you need to think about a country that puts American citizens first, that American citizens have priority over everything. People are sitting there going, oh, this person didn't come, this person didn't come. Yes, there are many great people that couldn't make it. Either they didn't want to come or they're tied up running wars and looking after the country. It doesn't matter. You came. This is the power of this movement. The only way we're going to win in November is to go back what got us through in 24, what got us through in 20, what got us through in 16. Grassroots effort going door to door to get low propensity, lower information voters, Trump supporters to the polls. And if we do that, the Sunland Uplands is in front of us. If we don't, if we just have these quarrels and this bickering and this fighting and lose the fact of what happened in Texas in January and February, if we lose what's happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia now, if we lose the fact of 6 years of struggle in Georgia, we now have the evidence of the 2020 stolen election. If you lose what's important, then we're going to lose the country. Fight on.
All right, that was Steve Bannon there at CPAC, a once Trump administration official in his first term. I do now think he's just an advisor here and there for the president when needed. Of course, he is the head editor and I think owner of Breitbart News, far-right news agency. Let's go to a 2-minute break and we'll come back after this. All right, everyone, welcome back after that 2-minute break. I'm sure you've heard by now, Will Wade has left North Carolina State. There's a lot of talk about this, a lot of unhappy people on one side, a lot of happy people on the other side, though. I don't think people were very happy with some of the celebration that they saw on the tarmac in Raleigh with Will Wade before he boarded the LSU jet back to Baton Rouge. Let's go to Book Corrigan, who is the AD from NC State, North Carolina State University, and listen in on what he had to say.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. I think Philip Rivers said it, right? And thinking about who we are, what we are, the Wolfpack ain't for soft people. We're going to go find a coach that agrees and understands who we are and what we are. For the past 7 years, we built a culture in the athletic department based on trust and accountability. We got coaches that want to be at NC State. They want to be a part of who we are, what we are, and represent this great university. We thought we had someone that came in last year to lead our men's basketball program. And over the course of the last year, we had developed a relationship that I believe was based on trust and accountability. There were a number of different conversations that had occurred over the past year involving our program, involving everything else in the landscape of college sports, including Tuesday evening for 2 hours to talk about the entire program and scheduling and the players and staff and everything that goes into that. There was no reason for me in my job not to believe the words that I was hearing coming back to me from Coach Wade. And I believe everyone here saw it, wrote about it, whatever it is, that I want to be at NC State. That's where I want to be. I look forward to growing it. I was as surprised and shocked as anyone else as this occurred, based on the previous conversations that we had had. I believed he was telling me his true intentions. I'm disappointed for our athletic department. I'm disappointed for our fans, and I'm disappointed for our university that we're here today. That being said, as soon as we received notice of his resignation, the search began. And we are committed to finding the next coach for our men's basketball program that wants to be at NC State, that understands who we are, that understands that we're a tough school, that understands that we're a great academic institution, that understands that our fan base has very high expectations and can embrace that. I believe everyone felt this year, being in the Lenovo Center, what this can be. And with 5 sellouts this year, and to hear the roof raised at different times during different games because of our fan base, because of our students and their ability to connect, that's what our mission is, and that's what we're going to accomplish. Questions?
You guys would wait. We've got the microphone. Cameron will bring to you.
How much was the buyout?
How much is the buyout? We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So the buyout, we everything's a negotiation, right? As you're looking at everything that's going on, and as we were talking through this, I believe everyone knows prior to April 2nd, the buyout was going to be $5 million. After April 2nd, the buyout was going to move to $3 million. We settled at a $4 million buyout. The reason we did that is to pick up the days in between today, which I think is the 26th, right? Today's the 26th until the 2nd, as opposed to having to wait until the 2nd. So for us, being able to move forward was not just as important, but we understood the dollar amount versus the value of time, and we chose to settle at $4 million.
Hey, Carly Haynes with WRAL. Do you have any reason to believe that LSU was in touch with Wade before the end of the season?
I think that's a question you need to ask LSU, and you need to ask Coach Wade. I've got my own thoughts on where we are. I know that the number of times we had conversations about the job, including one time where it was, do we need to talk about this? And the answer was no. I believe a number of people may have been at the ACC tournament where the answer was a definitive, I'm going to be here. After we lost in the ACC tournament to Virginia, there was another confirmation. After the NCAA tournament, there was another confirmation. So I think that's a better question answered by LSU than it is by Coach Wade.
And when were you actually aware of the resignation?
Yesterday morning, as I came into work. Again, you're aware of rumor and innuendo, but I don't know if y'all know this or not, the internet has a lot of rumor and innuendo on it, right, is what's going on. So again, as we looked at that, it became apparent that this could be a potential outcome. And at that point in time, we engaged in conversations.
Boo, Michael Perchik, ABC 11. Was there ever a meeting that you had scheduled with Coach Wade this week in which he chose not to show up for?
There was.
What was your reaction? Did you give any sort of communication that he was not going to show up to that meeting, or he simply just no-showed and you've not heard from him?
Yeah, he no-showed. As well as we did have other meetings. I don't want to say that. There were other phone calls and there were other face-to-face meetings. But there's also one that was missed.
The transfer portal starting, how much does that speed things up? And how open are you to maybe assistant coaches or people that aren't just college head coaches? And how different is it compared to, say, last year's search?
I don't know that it's a whole lot different than last year's search. If anything, with the transfer portal moving to the end of the Final Four, maybe there's a little bit less. From that standpoint, we want to find the right person for NC State, right? And what that looks like. We need to make sure that we have a person that's committed to this university, that wants to be at this university, that shares our values of trust and accountability, that will lead this program. Where it goes, well, these things are kind of living organisms, right? You think it's going to go down this path, and then it takes a left turn or a right turn as we go down it, but we're going to find the right person.
Well, I may have missed this earlier, but at what point did you start coming up with a board or start coming up with an idea of who might be the next head coach for NC State?
I'm not I don't have a top drawer in my desk to pull out where all the names are, but you always know what's going on and try to pay attention for what's going on. Did I think it was going to be us at this point? No, I did not. But do you have friends that are in my role at other schools that you want to be able to talk with and understand the landscape of what's going on? 100% you do. But like I said, as soon as we received notification of the resignation, we started. I also don't believe in doing something before you know the final outcome. I think there's a lot of people that, actually I don't know if there's a lot of people that do this, but my perception at times is people move before anything's done, and I don't like that idea. I like the idea of knowing exactly where you end and then you start. Much like today is going to be the end of Coach Wade, and then we're going to go find a coach, and then we're going to celebrate the new coach as we move forward.
This might be a dumb question, but what was just your initial reaction when you saw the resignation?
Disappointment, right? Probably more than anything else. You spend a year getting to know someone, right? And you get to know their staff, and you get to know the people around them. And these jobs aren't easy, right? I'm not complaining. I love what I do for a living. Right, but at times, you're pouring into other people. It's more about other people's journey than it is yours. I don't care about my journey. That'll be when Chris and I retire, and whenever, in 10 years, we can sit back and look at that. But you spend a lot of time, personally, your staff spends a lot of time making sure that people have the resources that they need, right? Making sure that the answer to the best of your ability is yes. Right? We don't say no just to say no. We don't play games with our coaches. We don't posture and do those things. If we can help, we're going to do everything we can to help. So I would say disappointment.
Part of the reporting around it was the NIL number to have to build a roster. Where would you say that kind of stands going into the new?
We're going to be competitive. We were competitive this year with our NIL. We've been competitive with our program in general. You look at who we play, where we go, how we travel, everything about our program is not missing, right? I believe Coach Wade was very, when he got here, very much in line with we have everything we need, right? I feel like we have everything we need, and we're going to do everything we can to be as competitive as we can and compete for a national championship.
And then you mentioned you're looking for a coach that fits the NC State. What are some traits you're looking for in a coach, and does it have to be a sitting head coach at this point?
No, I don't think it has to be a sitting head coach at this point. I think we want to find someone that knows how to coach, right, and is a great coach. It has the ability to connect with people, right, both internal, external, with the players, be able to recruit. You have to be a good recruiter in this day and age. You have to understand what's going on with NIL, what's going on with the transfer portal. How do you put your team together, right? Have a plan to put your team together. I think we saw this year, maybe if some of our players were 4 inches taller, it could have been a little bit better, right? No shade on our players this year, but the importance of a rim protector has really become something more definitive in college basketball, and we need to make sure that we have someone to come in here that knows how to build a roster, knows how to put the pieces together in a right way to have a very competitive team.
Hey, Patrick Thomas from Spectrum News 1. While so much focus is on, well, waiting to confirm that Coach Wade did, now you're talking about, I want to quickly dive into the ACC, the state of it, and how, while there have been successive years of increases in revenue, it's not necessarily keeping up with the SEC and Big Ten. How do you think that factors into your ability to draw in the right candidate for a place like NC State?
NC State's a great university. I think the ACC is a great league. We live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I think there's so many attractive aspects of who we are and what we are. It's up to us. It's incumbent upon us in the athletic department to find the dollars, to be able to rev share, to be able to work with Learfield, be able to work with corporations, be able to find those dollars in the market. But we've got an unbelievably strong base to work from. We spent a lot of time, comparison's a thief of joy. Right, and we believe that in our athletic department, that we need to do everything we can to make NC State the best NC State we can be, and then let other people compete with us. So is it a factor? It could be, but again, that's a better question for Coach Wade.
CBS 17. Pack fans always pulling out. How do you reassure them that everything's going to be okay?
How great was the Lenovo Center this year? Right? I mean, how much fun was it to be in there with all the people and sharing the passion that we have for this great university? I think you can look at some of the coaches that we've hired and the success that they've had. I think you can look at the university itself, right, and what a strong university we have, and finding someone that just connects, right, that fits in with who we are, believes in what we do at NC State, is a heck of a coach. Clean my language up. Is a heck of a coach, right? Can find people, can build a team, can build a roster, can surround themselves with the right people, right, to be able to take us to a level beyond this year. I mean, it's great going to the NCAA tournament, right? But it's better going to the NCAA tournament and winning a couple games. And that certainly is what our expectation is.
Can you share anything in terms of what the conversations were with Coach Wade when you did meet? Was it him asking for certain further support, further investment? And when you did learn of his resignation, did he directly tell you that he was resigning, or you found out through an agent, or share how that kind of plays?
Yeah, I mean, we, again, go back to Tuesday night, we talked about everything in the program and what we can do, who we're going to play. You can't really talk.
Everyone going to cut into Book Horgan talking about Will Wade's departure. Again, as we said earlier, people not really happy there in Raleigh with the way things went down, but it sounds like they are on the hunt for the right person for that job. NASA speaking, and it looks like they have a number of test pilots in front of a couple of T-38s. Let's go to this right now and listen in. They are getting ready for Artemis 2 mission next week. The launch window opens up, which we are going to have coverage for you, live coverage based right here from Charlotte. Let's go to this right now.
Of Artemis 2. Tell us about that journey.
Well, it's been a long time, and we don't have that much time, but it's been awesome. I had a great education up there in New York at Rensselaer, and joined the U.S. Navy, which is just an amazing place for a young man to go serve, or woman, or any American. It really taught me a tremendous amount just about the world, about cultures around the world. A lot of people think that the military is all about fighting, but it is really all, for me, that was my job, but it was all about learning and getting to go around the world. I traveled around the world 5 times on aircraft carriers and in the Navy, and just learned a tremendous amount. That people are at the core, they're pretty much all the same. They want to raise their families and do right, and sometimes we have our differences on a large scale. My time in the Navy was just filled with great friends and a good career. And then in 2009, I came to NASA, flew to the International Space Station in 2014. It's been a while since I've been up there, so Jeremy, I think I'm a rookie with you. And then here we are, standing here today on this beautiful Florida afternoon, and about to go ride a rocket to the moon. It's pretty amazing. Very lucky.
Thank you. Good luck. Good luck, crew. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Max Evans with NASA Space Flight. I asked this same question to the crew of Polaris Dawn when they launched about a year and a half ago now, and I figured given the weight of what could be happening next week, I figured I'd toss it your guys' way too. Given the weight of what could be happening next week, how do you think this mission is going to affect you both personally and professionally? Question for the whole crew.
It's a deep question.
Yeah. That is a deep question, and thanks for posing it. And it's interesting to have a Polaris Dawn crew member here as well. It underscores some things that are being said all the time. The golden age of space exploration. There's so many amazing things happening, and we should be proud, all of us. I guess I'm not going to answer your question. I actually spend a lot of time keeping myself from thinking beyond the mission on purpose when I start to daydream about those things, just because I really want to focus and give my all to this task. And a few of you have asked different types of questions about how do you think of this, the weight of this moment. All astronauts start a mission with one goal: to not mess it up. And I think that is really at the core of it. We have a lot of work to do. And so, but I will share something that is related to what you asked. I can tell you this: my first mission, the dream of going to space, because it was my first time, was there. It was front and center, even if I tried to focus past it or beyond it. This mission is much more about duty and responsibility, so we can pass the batons off for this campaign called Artemis with its lofty goals, and we live that every day. And then that's it. And then we want to back out and disappear while the Artemis 3 crew stands in front of this microphone. And so I personally really look forward to that period where I think personally and professionally it is going to satisfy all of this risk chasing that I've been doing for 27 years.
That was awesome, man. We're going to stop right there. That was great.
Hi, Josh Dinner, Space.com. What is your impression of the public's perception of your mission? And do you think there's any aspect of your flight that people are underestimating or maybe not as excited about as you think that they should be?
I'll take it. Go. You guys jump in.
I can say short.
Okay, I can say that after 3 years, that's the first time I've gotten that question. So I'm going to wing it here. I think overall, some of the big picture things are that we are going to be looking back at an Earth where not every human is on Earth. That is new. That is different. We will have crew members and our colleagues orbiting Earth around the International Space Station, and we even have an event where we get to talk to them ship to ship, which I think is a really exciting moment to be a part of. And I hope people come along for that and recognize the importance of that milestone. I think another really cool thing that we're doing is the proximity operations demonstration, where we actually separate from our upper stage rocket and then use it as a target to manually fly a spaceship. That is awesome. I'm really excited about that. And of course, rightfully so, we keep talking about the destination, the moon. We are doing some awesome things and getting some of our most important flight objectives done in that really high Earth orbit that we take in that first 24 hours in space. So that's a huge one. And I'll say the other thing is our proximity to the moon. We're going to be somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 miles from the surface of the moon, much farther than most of the Apollo missions. And there's actually a silver lining and an awesome thing about that, which is that if it's lighted in the right way, which we expect it to be, especially for this launch window, we have the opportunity to see parts of the far side of the moon with human eyes that have never been seen before, because we have that pulled back perspective, and that's a really exciting thing to be a part of. I think our biggest wishes, though, for this, and I do think that as people come online learning about this mission, they are feeling, because of the questions we get and the feedback we get, is that it's for all of humanity. We really, truly are going for all and by all. I'm picking that up from the public, and I hope that it is just more and more impressed upon them that this is everyone's mission.
Thank you.
This is Pablo Fuente with Orbita Infinita. I'm speaking, as a content creator. First of all, thank you. You've been here 1 hour answering questions under the sun. It's a very hot day, so please hydrate. Thank you to the NASA team for allowing us to be here. Christina, you just mentioned this. You are going to see things that no human have witnessed before, at least with that perspective. Now that we know that you will have computer devices that can take video and pictures, how are you guys planning to share that content with the whole world? Because you are inspiring so many. Thank you.
Well, a couple things to consider. It's the first time we go out there with humans, of course, and so we want to set expectations realistically. It's not like being on the International Space Station 250 miles away. The communication system may be really robust, and we may be able to get a lot of information back, but we might not be able to as well. And this is one of the test objectives, is to see how our deep space communication system works, how much bandwidth we have for transmitting high-resolution photos or video. And so I don't know exactly what you'll see during the mission, but we will capture it all on the cards and bring it back with us, and we'll do a great job of sharing that. We're excited to try our best to take some images to try and bring you along on that journey to see the moon, to see some extraordinary aspects of the moon, but also to see yourselves from the perspective of the moon. I mean, just imagine that, the moon in the foreground and that Earth in the background, and you're all in that shot. We're really excited to share that with you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you for doing this. Ken Kramer, Space Up Close. Speaking about talking back to humanity, I'd like to ask you guys, the Apollo crews did broadcasts in space, try to educate the kids. What are you guys going to do transmitting back on your way to the moon and back to motivate, educate, and excite the kids and everybody else? Thank you.
I think we've all kind of hit on it. The first thing that we have to do is we got to fly this mission successfully. There is going to be a tremendous amount of unknowns. There's going to be things that we didn't expect. There's going to be comm linkage difficulties. There's just going to be all sorts of things. The first thing we got to do is we just got to fly this mission. And then layered into our schedule, our public relations folks at NASA have developed a very nice portfolio of outreach opportunities. I think the NASA flagship channel, which I believe is on YouTube, is going to stream this live 24/7. So if you're having trouble falling asleep one night, you can just pop that on and watch us for a little while. Spaceflight can be very slow, and it can be very awesome. But we are going to have a tremendous amount of outreach. We're trying to hit all the social media sites. We're trying to hit all the traditional media sites, and we're trying to stream 24/7. 24/7. And then the other thing that I think we do is just we have a pretty gregarious, outgoing crew that really feels bought into this mission. And part of this mission is bringing along the world for all of us to be in this together. So we are going to be involved and we're going to be out there doing this.
Thank you.
Last question.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Brandon from Interstellar Gateway. This question can just go out to whoever it jumps out to the most. As someone who grew up watching Space Shuttle from right here on the Space Coast, and now being in the position that I'm in, I was wondering what's something that inspired you growing up that has kind of thrust you into the position that you're in now, about to launch around the moon?
I hope that we all get a chance to answer. And I was inspired, I'll give a space kind of related one. I was inspired by things that made me feel small. The night sky, the vast ocean. I love sailing with my family, big mountains, anything that made me ponder the size of the universe. And then on a more individual level, I was inspired by the leaders of the civil rights movement, by the people that weren't afraid to do what scared them in the face of a lot of mixed messages on what was the right thing, but they knew what was right, and they pursued that no matter what. I think about those people a lot when I'm in positions of having to work through fear, having to face things that are uncomfortable, and those are the people that inspired me growing up.
Thank you for the question and the opportunity to bring my parents into it, because it's them, my mother and father. And I know it's easy to say without my mom I wouldn't be here, literally, but also not just from the birth perspective, all along the way. My mom is the reason that I am alive and made it to adulthood, because I was trying real hard to make that not the case. And literally a conversation I had with my father while I was in college, I decided I wanted to join the Navy. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And my dad said, hey, I know some SWAT guys. He is a retired police officer. I know some SWAT guys who did that, but that just doesn't look like you. But with a degree from Cal Poly and some wings on your chest, you might mess around and become an astronaut one day. And he said that to me in 1997. And so listen to your parents, folks. But my parents, and I could tell you stories like that about my grandparents as well, but it's been my parents' inspiration and support through this whole 49-year journey that is the reason I get to be on this side of this microphone.
Nice to talk. That's so poignant, Victor. For me, I've told this many times, I saw an image of humans stand on the moon in Encyclopedia A as a young child, but I went one step further. I wasn't just inspired, but I shared that with other people, like Victor's talking about, with my parents, with teachers, mentors, and people realized that this was something I was passionate about, and they used it to push me outside my comfort zone over and over again. I was also fortunate that I grew up watching the Space Shuttle program, and I watched Canadian astronauts fly. And so I think these mentors, for me, it wasn't something unachievable. They were actually seeing Canadians fly in space, the Canadian Space Agency through NASA, and that was very empowering. And there's something that I often think about. What's really important, I wasn't inspired because there was an inspiration program. I was inspired because humans went and did something extremely inspiring. And yes, we have a whole system that shares this so that it can be used and leveraged and put out there to inspire our next generation. But the key is to do what our leadership is trying to do right now, which is like, let's get out there and let's make it as inspiring as we can possibly make it for this next generation. And you know what will happen? They'll be standing here in 10, 20, 30 years continuing to do extraordinary things. Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy just nailed it. I was just going to say, you just have to go do things. Like, all of us are inspired by people who went and did new things, did difficult things, did hard things. Like, get out there and try and go do. One of my favorite part of Polaris Dawn was when you all hit apogee, and you said that Artemis 2 is going to go carry this torch further from Earth. And what an amazing moment right there on a private space flight at apogee to make that radio call. Like, that's burned into my head. He's motivated me. You all have motivated all of us. And we get the opportunity right now to hold the conch and motivate the world. And that is an amazing privilege. And that is something that we are not going to let go of lightly. But we're doing it because we're going out and doing something that is so critically important. I wanted to wrap up just really by saying two things. things. Maybe a go back, but two things. First, for the media that's here, if you just look this way, there's like this gaggle of unassuming people down here. But when we look at these people down here, these are the people that built the rocket, that know the rocket, that are going to launch the rocket, that have worked with us day in and day out. So we look over here and we see our friends Tyler and our launch director, and we see Jeremy, Kelvin, center directors. We've got deputy associate administrators over there. It's like these are our friends over here that have made this mission. So I just wanted to highlight them. And then I really, for the crew, just wanted to look every one of you in the eye down this row and say thank you. Because what you're doing is every bit as important as what we're doing and what they're doing. Sharing the message, motivating the world, finding the truth, and reporting on it. So thank you all. Thanks for giving us your time, and we appreciate you.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. We have a series of briefings lined up this week as we count down to launch. So next up, we'll hear from the crew again this Sunday at 11:30 a.m. as they join us from crew quarters virtually. And as always, you can stay up to date on all the latest mission news and events at nasa.gov. Thanks to our crew for joining us today, and thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you on Sunday.
All right, folks, as we said, the Artemis 2 mission, the operating window or the launch window is opening up. That'll be next week. As you saw, that last-second shot there, the rocket is on the launch pad, and they are ready to go around the moon. Now, we'll have to see until next week if that actually happens, and we'll have coverage for you. Brad Panovitz and James Brierton will have coverage for you next week. I believe it's happening on Thursday right here on WCNC+. More to come. We'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, folks, we are up here on WCNC Plus. Going to go to a press conference about the Warrior Act. A little bit of background about this, mandating defense contractor data sharing for a lot of individuals. And this is pertaining to veterans, right? How we take care of our veterans. And the VA is going to be a big part of this. So we're going to learn more from them. Let's go to this right now.
Hi, everybody. If you are Army, you say, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. And Hoo-ah, and it's really nice to be here today. I wish we didn't have to be standing here today. So let me just jump right in and talk about what this very, very important bill does. This is called the Warrior Act that we're introducing today, that will make it very clear in law that no one can be excluded from a military job or from an assignment on the basis of their gender. And it requires that every single standard be tied to the real job itself, whether those demands are physical or technical, tactical, or cognitive. Nothing more and nothing less. That's it. In principle, that's at the heart of this legislation, and frankly, it shouldn't be controversial or even necessary at all, because women's service in our armed forces has never been about special treatment. It's always been about the woman's capability, and it's never been a favor to be allowed to serve in our military. We earn that opportunity. We are held to the very same rigorous standards as our male counterparts, and we meet and exceed them every single day. Combat roles were open to women in 2016 only after extensive rigorous review. And in the years since, women have continued to prove what we all know, that we are capable. Women have graduated at the top of officer training programs and at U.S. Army Ranger School. They have earned combat dive badges, combat infantryman badges, expert infantryman badges, and expert soldier badges as well. They've served as master gunners and company commanders, and 174 women have earned Ranger tabs. For those who understand what all that means, that's extraordinarily impressive. And it is clear evidence that women meet the standards and they embody a warrior ethos that our military demands. And yet, despite all of this, here we are. Secretary Hegseth has publicly cast doubt on the qualifications of female service members, not because of performance, but because of who they are. He claims to support gender-neutral standards while repeatedly singling out women. Now the Department of Defense is reviewing the effectiveness of women in combat, despite years and years of data and experience that already have answered that question. At a time when global threats are rising and our military may be called upon at any moment, Secretary Hegseth should be strengthening our force, not sidelining those who are qualified. We should be supporting everyone who is willing to serve, not pushing women out simply because they are not men. Current law still leaves room, implicitly and explicitly, for women to be excluded from certain roles. And under this leadership, we cannot afford that ambiguity. So that is why the Warrior Act is unfortunately necessary. This bill reinforces something equally important, that standards do matter. The American military has high standards, and we have strong women who meet them. And when we allow those women to serve, our military and our country are stronger for it. The Warrior Act is about building the strongest possible fighting force, and that means drawing on the full strength of the nation, all of us. It means trusting data over politics, and it means refusing to turn back the clock. Thank you very much for joining us here. I am very, very proud to turn it over to my friend and representative, Tran. Army.
Army! Good morning. I am Representative Tran from California. When I was 18 years old, I marched into an Army recruiter's office to give back to the country that has given my family so much. I serve with people from all walks of life, stood alongside men and women in uniform who taught me the true meaning of selfless service. And I brought those values with me to Congress. And I am honored to join Representatives Houlihan and Goodlander to introduce the Warrior Act. Today, we are reaffirming what veterans already know, that women serving in our armed forces make our country stronger and safer. When you serve in uniform, you have a sacred bond with the people you serve with. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. All that matters is your commitment to serve and your ability to do your job. The Warrior Act will ensure that anyone with the tenacity and talent for military service can join in the fight to defend our freedoms. This is about more than women's rightful place in our armed forces. It's about strengthening our military improving readiness, and ensuring our national security for generations to come. When this administration insults the women who have committed their lives to service, they hurt recruitment, they hurt retention, and they hurt our national defense. We need the best possible soldiers in each and every role across the armed forces. I served under the immediate command of Sergeant First Class Cynthia Shelton for 4 years, and there is not a single soldier I would rather have watching my back than her. And today, I am proud to continue to stand alongside the women who have served and who continue to serve this great country. And I'm grateful to Representative Houlihan for her leadership on this issue. Anyone who makes this sacred commitment to serve deserves our respect. It's time for the Trump administration to learn that. Thank you so much. And next up is Rep. Pat Ryan from New York. Woo! Woo! Yeah!
Making the umbrellas work here. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being out here in spite of the weather. I'll be very brief. One, I just want to say thank you and tremendous respect and appreciation to Representatives Houlihan and Goodlander for continuing this fight. And I've had the honor to serve alongside both of them on the Armed Services Committee for several years now, especially Representative Houlihan. And you want to talk about a ferocious fighter, seeing her battle on behalf of every American to have the right and the honor to do what all of us standing up here did, which is love our country so much that we're willing to put our lives on the line to do that. And I've seen her go toe-to-toe with these culture war focused idiots, frankly, who don't know, they just don't actually, they don't know what they're talking about. And rather than focusing on the serious business of preparing for real war, which unfortunately we're in one of them now, they're focused on distractions and culture war BS that divides our country right at the time when we need to be coming together. So this legislation reinforces, as my colleagues have said, what we've known for 250 years, that this country is great and strong and our military is lethal because of the fact that we wrap our arms around every single patriotic American who wants to serve and bring their tenacity, their strength, their experience, their smarts and toughness to serve. Especially at this moment, we need everybody, all hands on deck, who love the country and are willing to serve. So I'm confident that the American people are with us on this and understand that what makes us strong and lethal is bringing everybody into the force in this way. And again, I just want to reinforce from a personal perspective, the most lethal warrior that I know and have served with was a woman, and I would go to battle with her, just as Derek said, every single day of the week, month, and year. And I know all of us know that to be the case, but given the lies and the misinformation coming from this administration, from Secretary Hegseth, from a 5-time draft dodger in Donald Trump, we have to say that over and over again, and we will prevail in that victory. So thank you again. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Maggie, and to all my colleagues here. And now my honor to introduce one of the most long-standing leaders in this area and someone that I've got to know and work alongside on several issues, Miss Sue Fulton. Thank you. And thanks for holding my umbrella.
You bet. Thank you, Pat Ryan, Army. If it ain't raining, we ain't training. Thank you so much to the members of Congress who are here today, especially Chrissy Houlihan, who inspires me constantly. 50 years ago, on July 7, 1976, I first raised my right hand to swear a solemn oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I was joined by 118 other young women and over 1,000 young men, not counting the disgruntled upperclassmen charged with our training. We were the first women cadets in West Point history, and the men were not pleased. We wore uniforms and gear designed for men. We learned to operate weapons designed for men and passed physical fitness tests designed for men. So as women in the United States Armed Forces throughout history have done, we persevered. We overcame every obstacle put in our path. We met and exceeded the standards. For me, I was chosen for company command as a lieutenant above 2 senior ranking officers based on my performance in the field. just one of hundreds of thousands of women who haven't just met the standards but exceeded them. It took us years of proving our worth, but especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, it became undeniable that women have the grit and the courage to face enemy fire, to destroy the enemy, to lead and to rescue their fellow troops. Women proved themselves qualified for the toughest jobs in ground combat arms, and in the process brought their own talents and gifts to the fight. For the past 10 years, women have met the grueling male standards for combat arms, including infantry leadership and Ranger School. At the same time, they often outperform their peers with superior problem-solving skills, maturity, leadership, and long-term endurance. Today, men take it for granted that women serve alongside them as part of the team. We've heard men cite how a woman helped them get through Ranger School. Senior enlisted and officer leaders have testified that women have helped, not hurt, the effectiveness of our combat forces. 5 years of studies show women are succeeding in ground combat units so thoroughly that they stopped doing the studies. And we've heard reports from the field that having women in the ranks also motivates men to raise their game. Women have made our fighting force stronger, smarter, and better. The last thing we need for our fighting forces is to disqualify people based on ideology and prejudice, especially from a secretary who, as it was quoted in the New York Times this morning, wouldn't stand next to a black female general, who is eliminating black and women candidates for senior leadership. We need all the talent available to keep America safe. We need people who have the competence, character, and commitment to serve, period. Nothing else matters. Thank you. I'll be followed by Kayla Williams, who is an Army veteran, combat veteran, and a senior advisor to the Vet Voice Foundation. Kayla?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Sue, and thank you all for including me today. I'm proud to stand alongside all of these leaders representing the Vet Voice Foundation and our 2 million supporters nationwide. I'm Kayla Williams. 23 years ago this month, I took part in the initial invasion of Iraq as part of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. As an Arabic linguist able to translate between our troops and the local population, I went on combat foot patrols with the infantry in Baghdad with no plates in my flak vest because at the time women weren't allowed to be in combat, so they weren't issued to me. As we all learned, of course, enemy fighters and roadside bombs don't care about your MOS or your gender. All that mattered was that I could do my job, which I did, including during months as the most forward deployed female soldier with conventional U.S. forces. None of this is remarkable. Women have always served. Recognizing how essential women troops were for accomplishing the mission and the critical role played by hundreds of thousands of women like me, over a decade ago, civilian and military leaders with decades of honorable service and deep expertise rescinded the combat exclusion policy. Since then, women have succeeded in every role opened to them. Thousands are now serving in combat arms jobs and units. The vast majority of today's troops have only served under this policy. They have worked alongside women throughout their military careers. Whatever challenges there were to integrating women have long been solved. But today, all of this hard-won progress is at risk because of Pete Hegseth, a tabless leg with zero integrity who doesn't believe that women belong in combat. It's hard to believe that an infantry major with neither a Ranger tab nor airborne wings and no history of company command is the man pretending no woman can succeed where he personally has failed. Ignoring decades of research and the thoughtful judgment of those with far more knowledge and experience, Pete Hegseth wants to impose his extremist ideological beliefs on all the armed forces. And if he succeeds, it will have devastating effects on our readiness. It's absurd to think that brawn is the only thing that matters in combat. Audie Murphy, the most decorated American in World War II, was my height. Excluding half the population during an ongoing recruiting crisis while launching into another war is absurd. Here in the United States of America, Our diversity is our strength. Diversity is lethality, and women make combat arms units stronger, smarter, and better. We cannot risk going back to ridiculous rules that forced commanders to attach women where they were needed in Iraq and Afghanistan because we couldn't be assigned to those units just because of one insecure man's whim. That's why this legislation is so important, and I urge Congress to pass it as quickly as possible. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over now to Representative Cisneros.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Congressman Gil Cisneros, and I represent California's 31st Congressional District. I want to thank my colleagues, Rep. Houlihan, Rep. Gudlander, for their leadership in introducing this legislation. Military service changed my life, and I take pride in the time that I spent in the Navy. And I believe anyone wanting to make the sacrifice should be given equal opportunity and access to serve our country. As a United States Navy veteran and former Undersecretary of Defense, I can say some of the best individuals I have served with have been women. And it's ridiculous that their value to our country in uniform is continuously being questioned by this administration. It's the 21st century, yet language for employment guidelines and military readiness standards is centuries behind. And as has been said, our current Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, wants to take us back even further and deny women their opportunity to serve. What he wants to do is place in regulations that would have a glass ceiling preventing women service members from reaching their potential, not allowing them to serve and not be aligned with their strengths. I want to be clear. Women in combat roles have and do meet the fitness standards required for their job. The recurring threats to remove their ability to be in these roles has nothing to do with their fitness ability. Just last year, we had the first woman compete and complete the U.S. Army's three-day Best Ranger competition. Over 4,500 women currently serve in combat-related roles. No one bent the rules on fitness standards to get them there. They earned it by their merit. The introduction of the Warrior Act will make military service members more inclusive by removing gender-based exclusions in jobs, improving transparency from the Department of Defense, and increasing congressional oversight. With this legislation, we can ensure that anyone qualified for a military service role is eligible to be considered through fair, holistic evaluation based on their ability, regardless of their gender identity. In our globalized world, it is important that our nation's defense are as strong as possible, and diversity is an asset. This legislation makes the military inclusive for qualified individuals to serve. Thank you for joining us today for the introduction of this important legislation. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Representative Gudlander.
Thank you, Gil. Kayla, I think you should be the Secretary of Defense. Just want to say that at the top. Sue, it's an honor to be with you, and to all my colleagues, especially to Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, the ultimate warrior. I would go to battle with you anywhere, Chrissy, and I'm grateful that you brought us all together this morning. I represent the state of New Hampshire, and our motto is live free or die. America, to just put it plainly, we are the land of the free because we are the home of millions of women who have worn the uniform, who have raised their hand, sworn an oath to our Constitution, put their lives on the line, answered the call to serve. We've got 250 years of glorious history where we've seen time and time again women step up to the fight to serve our country, to make us the greatest fighting force the world has ever known. This has been through grit, through excellence, through commitment, and through a deep love for our country and our Constitution. Over the last year, we've seen so many times an administration and a Secretary of Defense who has no business serving in that role, who defies common sense, who defies our Constitution, and well, we have him at it once again here. We are introducing the Warrior Act because it is a common sense bill that's going to make our military stronger, it's going to make our country safer, and that's going to vindicate the most basic principle of our Constitution, that if you are up for the job, if you can meet the standards, in America you get a fair shot. And that's what brings us here today. It's an honor to be working alongside these patriots who love our country, who've got the common sense that we need right now in America, in the middle of a war of choice and a crisis of the president's own creation. So may God bless our troops, may God bless this great country, and let's get the Warrior Act signed into law.
All right, folks, we're going to take another 2-minute break. We'll come back with more news right after this. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming back here to WCNC Plus. We're going to get a state of Mecklenburg County from one of the chairmen here of the commissioners here in Mecklenburg County on how the county is doing and where things are going to be going here in the future.
Wow, wow, wow. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Man, I'm excited. We're going to get off script for just a second starting out, okay? but it is just so great to see everyone. This is one big family, and it's just an honor for me to be here today. So I really appreciate you joining me for this 2026 State of the County address, and it's really an honor for me to serve as chairman of the Mecklenburg Board of County Commissioners. And before I get into the bulk of my remarks today, I have to recognize a dynamic group of individuals that I have the distinct honor of serving with on the Board of County Commissioners, and it's only because of their support and vote of confidence that I have the privilege of presiding as chairman of the board. And their contribution, along with our more than 500 advisory board members, is critical to our work. And in the spirit of Women's History Month, I am going to start by first acknowledging the amazing women that I have the privilege of serving with on our Board of County Commissioners. And I'm going to start with our Vice Chair, Commissioner Lee Altman. She's serving in her third term at large. So you all know that Vice Chair Altman also serves as the county representative on the MTC, or the Metropolitan Transit Commission, and she's also our representative on what we affectionately refer to as CARTPO, which is the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization. Don't say that too fast. Her work over the last year was critical to our community's transportation needs and future plans. So I want to thank you, Commissioner Altman, for your service. Next, Commissioner Yvette Townsend Ingram. You all know her as Commissioner YTI. She's an at-large commissioner serving in her first term. She has been an unwavering champion for behavioral health services along with workforce and small business development. We appreciate what she brings to the board every day. Next, we have Commissioner Elaine Powell representing District 1. There you go, Elaine. That's right. Do the wave. She's the chair of our Environmental Stewardship Committee, and you all know that she served as vice chair of this board for 5 years. She's currently in her 4th term, and I'm sad to say it's going to be her last term. And as many of you might be aware, Elaine is actually retiring after more than 30 years of public service. So thank you so much for what you've done for this county, Elaine. One of our board members is not here with us right now, but she represents the most powerful district. She also serves as chair of our ad hoc senior committee. It's none other than Commissioner Vilma D. Leek, representing District 2. And Commissioner Leek is actually serving in her 9th term on this board and has dedicated her entire life to fighting for justice and equity in this community. We all know that she's a living legend. She's essentially the matriarch of this board, and her impact will certainly be felt for generations to come. And so I'd like to give it up for Commissioner Leek. Next, representing District 5, this is my buddy, everybody. She is the chair of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. We have Commissioner Laura Meyer serving in her 3rd term on the board. So Commissioner Meyer has actually been a tireless advocate as it relates to behavioral health services for our youth. She's been a strong voice for our aging population, equity, and so many other critical issues that are important to this board. She has just been a stable colleague, and I want to thank her for her service. This is going to be her last term as well, and she will be missed. Thank you. So rounding out the women is someone that I started with, and that is the representative from District 6, who is currently serving in her 4th term. It is none other than Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, who is not with us this morning, but she chairs our Economic Development Committee. And if you know Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, she is a champion for the arts. She's a relentless advocate for survivors of trauma in the community, also an amazing advocate as it relates to equity and inclusion. And she represents District 6, and she's not going anywhere. So we want to shout Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell out. So moving on to the rest of the board, we have Commissioner Arthur Griffin serving at large. He's the chair of our Health and Human Services Committee. He's serving in his 2nd term on this board. So I don't know if all of you know this, but Commissioner Griffin is a retired lieutenant colonel. He's also been an unrelenting advocate for career readiness, education, access to care, along with services and resources for our most vulnerable populations. And I like to refer to him as the conscience of this board. Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. Last but not least, serving in his 9th term on this board. He is a leader among leaders. He is the chairman emeritus. And he is also the vice president of the National Association of Counties, known to all of us as NACO. We have none other than Commissioner George Dunlap, representing District 3. Now, I've got quite a bit to say about Commissioner Dunlap because he has had a tremendous service record. He has over 30 years of public service, and his work continues to be crucial to the work of the board. And congratulations are actually in order for our Chair Emeritus as he prepares to ascend to the presidency of the National Association of Counties. And it's no small feat because in his role as president of NACO, Commissioner Dunlap will be responsible for leading an organization of more than 3,000 county governments made up of 40,000 elected officials representing millions of government employees. And it's really bigger than Commissioner Dunlap, and it will yield much greater visibility and a louder voice to some of the challenges and opportunities we face as a county, as a region, and as a state. And his role in NACO continues to, it's already produced for our community. This December, NACO will be here in December with members representing large urban counties across the nation are going to hold their annual conference right here in Charlotte, which is a win for the community and the organization. So thank you so much, Commissioner Dunlap. And I'd just like to say, as you all know, all of our board members are just incredible public servants, and I am beyond grateful to be able to serve with this exceptional group of men and women. And speaking of women, Mecklenburg County owes a great deal of gratitude to the women of this organization and community. We know you're the driving force behind the transformative work that we do, and there are no words that I could actually speak from this lectern that can accurately capture the impact of your contribution. So I'm just going to put it this way. Happy Women's History Month to the amazing women of Mecklenburg County. Now, the last time I delivered this address, we were preparing for a changing of the guard. Our long-serving manager was retiring, and the board was embarking on a national search to select a new county manager. And after a long and talent-filled application process, there was one person who stood out, a familiar face with a fresh vision, and that's none other than our county manager, Michael Bryant. Now, to say that Mike has hit the ground running is really an understatement. With his organizational reset and in a collaborative leadership style, Mike is paving a new path for opportunity with a fierce sense of urgency that is really building on past progress. And he is far from alone in this work. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Deputy County Manager and Chief of Staff Derek Ramos, Deputy County Manager Dr. Leslie Johnson, along with new members of his executive team, Deputy County Managers Michelle Atreed and Dr. Kim Campbell. And with this new leadership in place, our organizational reset is well underway. And I'd like, again, for Mike and any members of his executive team and cabinet that are present to please stand again to be recognized for your tireless contributions to the county. Now, while the Board of County Commissioners might be the face of the organization, it's a dedicated team of public servants that keep our work seamless. It's the more than 6,500 county employees from dozens of departments who show up day in and day out on behalf of the great community, of this great community. And for that, we are incredibly grateful. I'd be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge our partners and elected officials at the state and federal level, as well as our colleagues from Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, the City of Charlotte, and the towns of Cornelius, Davidson, Huntersville, Matthews, Mint Hill, and Pineville. And at this time, I'm going to ask any of those partners that I just mentioned to please stand and be recognized. I'm really grateful, and we are really grateful that you all are here today. The incredible work that our county produces on behalf of our residents is actually anchored by our shared sense of purpose and passion. And purpose and passion that was certainly put to the test over the last year. And as a community over the past year, we actually encountered some challenges. We faced uncertainty, we faced pressure, we faced moments that tested our fabric and commitment to each other. We dealt with the historic federal government shutdown that disrupted benefits for thousands.
Hey everyone, got some breaking news in just now. Tiger Woods has been involved in a rollover crash in Jupiter Island, Florida. He lives in that area, actually. Authorities saying this happened just after 2 p.m. So we're just receiving word of this from the Martin County Sheriff's Office, and their statement not giving much information. Details are very limited at this time. We're not even sure how injured he may be, but we know that there's been some training in the background. He had been talking about getting ready for the Masters, and in fact, on Tuesday, his team, TGL, just won the championship for the first time on Tuesday. So it sounds like authorities say he was driving at least twice the speed limit in that 2021 rollover crash. Remember, of course, when he was going to the Genesis Open that, of course, he has founded and does so much good work for the community with. So we're going to get more information from this. Again, this is an ever-evolving story that is perfect here for WCNC Plus because we can bring you updates straight to you once we get them. So we did also just get some information that the president signed an executive order ensuring that TSA workers are paid during the DHS shutdown. Now, we are still awaiting more information from this. Multiple sources are reporting from this. The Guardian, Fox News as well, saying that the president is describing the situation as an emergency. And as we know, TSA workers have missed more than one paycheck over the last couple of weeks. And I do believe this partial government shutdown has been going on for more than 40 days at this time. And I'm sure many of you who are listening may have gone through Charlotte Douglas over the last couple of days, not necessarily seeing ICE there, but ICE has made their presence felt at other airports across the country, trying to help those people that are in those long lines and those wait times at TSA checkpoints. So more information from this. This is an emergency executive order, so it will take some time, obviously, for this to make its way through the system and, of course, to get those individuals their money that they deserve. We're going to have more for you in 2 minutes. Wanted to update you on these two breaking news stories that will evolve on WCNC Charlotte. We'll see you in 2. All right, folks, welcome back. We're going to go back to CPAC live right now. Let's go to this.
We actually learned from you guys because you couldn't be in your big cities anymore.
Yeah, so we're in the third largest city in Australia because the other two cancel us. We cannot get a venue. So we're in the state of Queensland, my hometown of Brisbane. It's the most conservative state. It's the Texas of Australia, and we love it. And that's why we love coming here too, because this is ground zero, as far as I can tell, for conservatism in the US. And my state, Queensland, is ground zero in Australia.
So, at CPAC USA here in Texas, is it fair to say the freedom-loving people in Australia will be watching what's happening here?
With great interest. I'll tell you who will be watching this mostly, the left. They'll be writing their stories, they'll be plotting how they can make us look bad, Matt. But you know what? We don't care, do we, Matt?
No, we don't care.
We don't care.
We don't care. Now, let me tell you, you learn a lot about a culture when you go several times to a country. And I realized in Australia, you cannot have a CPAC in Australia without a break for a pint of something that gets you through the rest of the day. It's just part of the culture.
It's part of the culture, and I think that's something that you guys should look at adopting.
And we have a lot of great parties at CPAC, but no party is quite as in demand as you guys when you have your party.
Yeah, we have the Australian party on tonight. I won't be giving you the location.
It's in an undisclosed location?
We got into a lot of trouble last year, so we just got to keep it a little bit down.
Who's here from Australia? Yeah. There we go, stand up. Oh no. There we go. Oh, they look thirsty, Andrew.
They look very thirsty. One of the great programs that we've developed actually in Australia is we bring in a bunch of young people that are sponsored by donors and supporters, typically older people that are concerned about the wokeness of the younger generation. That's one of the programs is every year we bring a lot of young Australians over here, experience a bit of American culture, open their eyes to concepts that they may not, or I guess, a social environment and a cultural environment they don't get back in Australia, and hopefully that de-wokes them. They're all pretty solid. They're not woke anyway, but they can go back there and talk to their friends and be equipped with ideas and arguments that we don't really, don't really talk about back home. So it's fantastic. I want to welcome, we call them our global explorers. Please welcome them again.
Andrew, do we have dates for CPAC 2027?
Yes, we do. So 2026.
End of the year?
It's October 10 and 11. I encourage all of you to make the short flight down to Australia and join us for a pint. Should be fun.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for everything. Awesome. Okay, so this is America, and we have a kinship to the people of Australia. Obviously, a lot of common things like language, and it's our great honor to bring up next the former Prime Minister of the UK, Liz Truss. Great to have you here at CPAC again.
It's fantastic to be here again.
So your book said we only had a short time to save the world. Have you gotten a wee bit more optimistic?
Well, my book was written 2 years ago, 10 years to save the West. And the big thing that's happened since then is President Trump got elected. And that, to me, that is the start of a tidal wave of taking on the globalist leftist establishment, but we need to make sure that it spreads beyond the United States.
So I remember when I was a kid reading about the Tories. These were the conservatives. These were the hard chargers. This was the party that you had your great career in. Something happened between Margaret Thatcher and today, and there's a lot of change in UK politics.
So what happened was the Conservative Party used to stand for a strong economy, a strong defence and strong borders. But what happened in Britain is Tony Blair took over and he rigged the system against the Conservatives. He changed the justice system, he put in the Human Rights Act that made it impossible to deport illegal immigrants, he put in the Climate Change Act that made it impossible to frack and drill and have energy independence. And unfortunately, when the Conservatives got into government, we didn't change any of that. And believe me, I tried. But when I tried, what I found were there were too many people on my side who wanted to go along to get along. They weren't prepared to fight the left, and that is why our country is now in terrible trouble. You know, people are being arrested for posting on the internet. They're being jailed for speaking out. We have a problem with Islamism. We've got a problem with grooming gangs, which are being covered up in our towns and cities. So fundamentally, the Conservative Party lost its way, and we need a counter-revolution. We need a counter-revolution to overthrow the globalist regime that is now in power. And it's not just the politicians. It's the deep state, it's the bureaucrats, it's the blob who are running Britain and are running it into the ground.
So, how many of you have ever met a lazy politician? I know they weren't from Texas, I understand. You're kind of the opposite. So you have this great career. Now, you've decided that the way you can be the most effective is not necessarily continuing to seek glory in elected office, but to try to change the whole system in your country and really affect Europe.
Yeah, I mean, what I learnt from 10 years as a government minister, trying to do things, is that all the power had been handed away. It had been handed away to unelected agencies. It had been handed away to bodies like the Climate Change Committee. And we did not have, as Conservatives, the movement, the infrastructure, the media, the independent media to take that on. So what I now am working on is how do we build the infrastructure in Britain? How do we build an equivalent of the MAGA movement? A mega movement, make England great again. How do we build that? How do we build the independent media to take on the blob media like the BBC? Because I know we will not get change in our country just by changing who's in number 10 Downing Street. We have to change the system.
And as part of that, what do you want to do with this beautiful...
Today, I can announce that we will be having the first ever CPAC in Great Britain. We want to bring the energy of the Conservative movement internationally to Britain. But what we also want to do is wake up the people in Britain who have been asleep while our country has been taken over. And we have a huge number of people, most people in Britain, they want to have a good job. They're proud of their country. They want Britain to be a Christian country. They don't want all this woke claptrap. And what we need to do is bring those people together, create the momentum for real change. And that's what we'll be doing at CPAC Great Britain.
Awesome. And an apology, CPAC Great Britain. That's the way to say it.
And CPAC Great Britain will be on the 16th to the 18th of July this year. It'll be in London. And tickets will be on sale from next week. And can I ask for the number in this audience who are going to come to CPAC London? Who's coming? They're all coming. Fantastic. That is great to hear, because we need your support. We need your help. A lot of the great liberties of this country were first created or first developed in Britain, but we have lost our way. We have lost our way on everything from free speech to free markets to controlling our borders, and we need to get it back.
You're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody's looking at Travago or whatever right now, I know. You got to get to Australia. You got to get to Great Britain. Our next speaker deserves maybe a standing ovation because he's been working on CPAC for almost a decade in Japan. And guess what? They finally got their Japanese version of Margaret Thatcher or Ronald Reagan. This great new
All right, guys, CPAC's going to continue down in Grapevine, Texas, of course, over the next couple of days and into the weekend. We're still obviously watching the Tiger Woods rollover crash that happened in Jupiter Island, Florida. There's still no report from the Martin County Sheriff's Office on any injuries to this, and I'm sure it'll be closely kept to the vest until they have something to report. We do want to take the stock market live right now. We're going to take the Dow, as you can see, nearly down 2%, and it has not closed. We're about 3 minutes out from that. The S&P 500 looks no better, I'll tell you that. And in fact, there's been nearly $4.5 trillion of market cap wiped out since October of 2025. So some huge losses over the last couple of days. We'll see where it goes. We'll be back tonight from 7 to 9. We'll see you on WCNC Charlotte in the next couple of minutes.